can't breathe and I catch my breath, but I keep chasing that same old devil down the same old dead-end highway. Ain't no love in Oklahoma, just a whistle of a long black train. You'll know when it's coming for you, riding in on the wind and rain. I got saved in the same red river, trying to drown me. It ain't knocking me down, I'm standing my ground with the whole world falling all around me. I keep running, but I'm standing still. Pray for peace, but I need the thrill. So I keep chasing that same old devil down the same old dead-end highway. Ain't no love in Oklahoma, just a whistle of a long black train. You'll know when it's coming for you, riding in on the wind and rain. Ain't no love in Oklahoma, just a whistle of a long black train. You'll know when it's coming for you, riding in on the wind and rain. Ain't no love in Oklahoma, just a whistle of a long black train. You'll know when it's coming for you, riding in on the wind and rain.
Right outside of this one church town, there's a gold dirt road to a whole lot of nothing. Got a deed to the land, but it ain't my ground. This is God's country. We pray for rain and thank Him when it's falling, 'cause it brings a grain and a little bit of money. We put it back in the plate, I guess that's why they call it God's country. I saw the light in a sunrise, sitting back in a 40 on the muddy riverside, getting baptized in holy water and shine with the dogs running. Saved by the sound of a pin-found Dixie whistle in the wind that'll get you heaven bound. The devil went down to Georgia, but he didn't stick around. This is God's country. We turn the dirt and work until the week's done. We take a break and break bread on Sunday, then do it all again, 'cause we're proud to be from God's country. I saw the light in a sunrise, sitting back in a 40 on the muddy riverside, getting baptized in holy water and shine with the dogs running. Saved by the sound of a pin-found Dixie whistle in the wind that'll get you heaven bound. The devil went down to Georgia, but he didn't stick around. This is God's country. God's country. I don't care what my headstone reads or what kind of pine wood box I end up in. When it's my time, lay me 6 feet deep in God's country. Sunrise sitting back in the 40 on the muddy riverside, getting baptized in holy water and shine with the dogs running. Saved by the sound of a pin-found Dixie whistle in the wind that'll get you heaven bound. The devil went down to Georgia, but he didn't stick around. This is God's country. Yeah, I saw the light in a sunrise sitting back in the 40 on the muddy riverside, getting baptized in holy water and shine with the dogs running. Saved by the sound of a pin-found Dixie whistle in the wind that'll get you heaven bound. The devil went down to Georgia, but he didn't stick around. This is God's country. My big brother.
Background to the Attlee-Truman discussions, 1 million people cram New York Central Park to hear the president outline America's stand on atomic power.
There has been talk about the atomic bomb. We must find the answer to the problems created by the release of atomic energy. Indeed, the highest hope of the American people is that world cooperation for peace will soon reach such a state of perfection that atomic methods of destruction can be definitely and effectively outlawed forever.
Осталось 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 0. Мощь нажатия кнопки, все осветилось ярчайшим.
Far beyond normal shipping routes they lie, and until 1952, only pearl fishing boats entered the blue waters and left the cliffs surrounding their shores.
The film record has been heavily censored by the French authorities, but this picture is impressive evidence of the bomb.
The great result of the cooperation of education with research. This is another victory.
Emergency alert system capabilities.
This is an emergency action notification.
National alert and warning authorities, in coordination with emergency alert system participants.
My fellow Americans, as you know, our attempts at preventing nuclear war have failed.
Mars has accepted my sacrifices and unleashes me.
I see you, enemy. I see you, enemy. Enemy! Enemy! You are my enemy! And I swear total resistance to you with everything I've got. Disingenuous, fake, false, broke back, twisted, a defiler, a betrayer, a backstabber, a devil! You will pay. Yeah, you think I don't see your face, scum? You don't think I don't see you? I see you. You understand me? I know what you think of me and my family. I see you right back. You understand that? You understand that? You will fall. You will not bring humanity down. God is going to destroy you. Yo. All right. I'm going to be working tonight. I got a couple things I need to do before tomorrow morning, so we're just going to be chilling, listening to some stuff. FD Signifier had a conversation about race with such an atom. And Destiny confronted Dean. Destiny's been venturing into the TikTok debate sphere, and Dean popped on to confront him about Destiny things, so I'm just going to casually listen to that shit while I do this work. So, that's what we're doing. Holy water sand, it ties in holy water shine. This is dog running.
So I don't know why Dean is like I mean, Dean had the audacity to like call me a runner, and you know he's fine with debating Nick Fuentes, and apparently, I mean, you're worse than Nick Fuentes. Apparently,
I am worse than Nick Fuentes, and I wear that badge with honor. Okay.
It's really unique, and someone in the comments was like, well, because Nick Fuentes makes him look good, but Destiny will make him look horrible. So, you know,
no comment.
That sounds like a bully. Okay.
Sorry, what are these politics? Like, why is Dean not here?
Good question.
Yeah, I'm sensing a bit of tension.
Right. I didn't know this was like therapy, like TikTok therapy session.
It can be. It can be whatever you like.
All right. Can it be like $1 million donation live, you know, to fund my matcha purchases over the next few months?
That can be arranged.
Okay. Let's get that going.
That's no problem. Okay. Steven, how are you going?
I'm doing great. Hi, Court. How are you doing?
I'm doing quite fine, thank you. So what's the topic?
I don't know. I guess Trump stuff. I feel like Trump's kind of bungled things up pretty hardcore since he's been in office.
Here we go. I cede my time.
Yeah, just real quick. I don't know, Anne, I don't know why you're talking about me. I can't, debate right now because I got pizzas opened. We're, getting ready to eat dinner. So I don't know, like, why you're like unprovoked bringing my name up and trying to create this like
Look, I don't think it's
insane like mental image of like Dean running from Destiny when I was, you know, just like getting pizza and sitting down.
You don't think? Okay, how do you think this works? When like last time you and your like maybe 1,000 followers came into my live and then started complaining that I was running from you, you know, because we were, you know, the rest of my panel was uncomfortable having you up and just kind of wanted to move past everything. And I wanted to talk to you because you publicly aired some like grievance without actually being specific. But you had all of your followers in here telling me that I'm running.
Why?
So it's not okay if I say, hey, this is actually kind of strange. Like, you know, you're okay with debating Nick Fuentes, but you're not okay with debating, you know, Destiny, and you're calling me a runner. Even though you haven't responded to my DMs. I know you get my DMs.
Do you think I just have like this like? Do you think I just have like this bot net of like mindless droids that follow whatever I say, and I just send out some command telling them to?
Unironically, yes. Unironically, yes.
Okay. Well, that's like it's kind of.
But you don't find, okay, look, Dean. I don't have any like personal. I don't have any personal shit with you. But I think it is kind of strange that you went out there and you said like, oh well, I think you supporting Destiny or you supporting Z was kind of strange. And then I ask you, okay, like what was strange, what was weird about it? You don't respond to me in that chat. You don't respond to my DMs. You call me a runner in my own live, and then won't come up and talk to me.
Wait, now you're trying to reframe why I called you strange?
I'm pretty sure I took a screenshot of it. You called me weird.
Yeah, wait, I called you weird specifically because you were just kind of like brushing off Z, making this baseless accusation against me, like using like the N-word hard R as if that like isn't some type of thing that can be damaging to my name or reputation. That's why I called you weird.
We clarified that the time frame, like the truth of the claim was like the actual content of what you said was true, but it was further back than it actually went.
Wait, no, now you're even wrong now. The actual content of what I said was false.
You came, wait, it's not false.
Yes, it is. I've never used like the N-word hard R, and that was a very specific accusation that she made.
My bad.
I do all the time.
My bad. You said the N-word with an A. That makes it so much better, Dean. That makes actually. I think like we should probably factory farm Z for that, for like mistakenly saying that you used it with an R without an A. Like, do you really think that that's important?
Well, obviously it was important enough for her to point out, like with excruciating detail, like 4 times, and I think that truth is important.
Look, and
do you deny that truth is important?
I think there's a pointing out of hypocrisy, not necessarily
like, look, you came up here, you addressed it.
Man, I'm not gonna like. I almost feel as if like
I was talking. Look. You're not gonna do this thing where you like don't let people interrupt you on your own.
Jesus fucking Christ, dude! What's going on?
What's going on is that I was in the middle of a sentence, and you do this thing on your live where you mute people if they overtalk you. So I'm going to do the same thing. If you're overtalking me, I'm going to mute you. You came up here, you clarified the whole thing about saying, actually, I don't even know if you fully clarified, but you said the whole thing about, oh, I didn't say it with an ER, I said it with an A, and then you dropped. But then you came into another comment.
Dead air.
Direct second, even though I invited you to talk about it publicly on another time. Like, this is just ridiculous.
Let me know when I could talk. Put preface on like the hard R as like pointed out, as if like it wasn't just simply the usage of the term, but like in so like derogatory, like in a derogatory manner, like against like a black individual, which is why the preface is like important to point out, right? Your reaction on live was to be like, oh well, maybe Z didn't know, like stop going so hard on Z, like Z doesn't have to, like bro, like of course.
I never said don't.
Wait, I thought like I thought we were doing an interruption.
Because you're fucking lying. I'm interrupting.
Oh, okay, so it's okay for you to interrupt me, but then when I interrupt you, you whine about it and say this is what I do to everybody else.
Yeah, because you're lying.
Okay, well, go ahead.
You're lying. I never said don't go hard on Z. I just said, hey, here's what happened. Like, look, Z made a mistake. She corrected herself. You corrected her. I corrected her. Like, what? What is this?
Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, I told you that I disagree. Now, if you want to, like, continue to rehash events from weeks ago, I mean, feel free. We could, like, debate what we think is, like, true of, like, what you had said in relation to what Z had said. I'm sure that it will be, like, super productive back and forth that will, like, really unfuck America. But now...
you leaving the tour was actually unfucking America.
There's another interruption. Can we do this
leaving the tour was unfucking America.
Can we do this without any interruptions?
You're like, yeah. Well, I just want to know, do you think you're unfucking America right now? Like, you think you...
fucking America right now? No, I'm fucking stuffing pizza in my mouth, and I'd love to stuff more down it. Preferably, where I don't hear people like you. I'm not saying that I'm running from destiny when I'm just trying to eat dinner.
You are running from destiny. You went on live saying you wouldn't debate him.
Yeah, I said on live a while ago that I won't have a conversation with him. However, your comments that you made on the stream was in reference to the fact that I was in this stream and you're acting as if I was running from him right now today, when in all reality, I'm just trying to eat dinner with my girlfriend.
You are if you continuously refuse to talk to somebody who is open to talking to you, you are you are running.
Okay.
You would say that about anything.
Destiny, do you feel like I'm running from you right now?
Real.
I do feel like you're running. We had disagreements on the V stuff, and you ran from me.
I should wait. Ran or running, right? Because the preface of the question that I asked was like specifically in relation to this live and the fact that I don't feel as if I'm running from you because I'm trying to enjoy dinner with my girlfriend, and then people like Anne are sitting on the panel saying, "Oh, Dean, you better get up here. If you don't get up here, like."
In the future, you said that on live. I won't debate him in the future. I'm not going to debate him now. Like that is running. Yes.
So once again, I've literally already reframed this conversation in a way that would hopefully make sense to you insofar as what you said. What you said on this live was that I'm actively running from destiny because I was listening to the debates. Okay, yes, I was totally running from destiny while I was in my car going to pick up some pizza. You know,
by refusing,
that is so
you grant that regardless of what you were doing, if you would have been sitting at home playing Fortnite on your fucking couch, you still would say, I will not debate destiny even though I'm not busy right now.
Oh, okay. So you're basically saying that the reason that I was running wasn't because I was busy, but it's rather because if I wasn't busy, well, then I wouldn't have talked to him. And I'll just say the same thing that Destiny said a little bit ago. Regardless. My grandma didn't have legs and had wheels instead. She would have been a bicycle. So, I mean, I don't know, but like I guess like the framing that I was like running from Destiny, like during this live, right, in the sense that and then for whatever reason, whoever's hosting the live, they automatically assume because Dean will not like give them their undivided attention and join the live right now and just, stop whatever he's doing and have a conversation. Therefore, Dean is a runner. Right? I guess that's the
reason. What's up, Conrad? I'm working tonight. I got some things I gotta get ahead of for tomorrow morning, so kind of just listen to some stuff. This is Destiny versus that fucking woke teen soy dude that went on Jubilee, Dean Withers. And then FD Signifier, talk with Sitch and Adam about race. And there was another one I wanted to watch. I don't know if I can find it though, because it was on Queeman's stream, and it got taken down. But it was about like fucking people being in Discord with fucking minors and shit. It was fucking just random, typical YouTube poll drama. What's up, Malkaz? How much comes out of the Jubilee? Yeah. Well, I mean, this kid Dean Withers, so this guy, what was it, right? This guy right here. He's the one. He was like the blonde kid that went up against like either Ben Shapiro or Charlie Kirk. I forget who. And then they brought him back to do his own episode. So he actually made a pretty big... I mean, I don't know if it's good, but he at least made a name for himself, and now he's fucking doing the whole, TikTok debate situation, just like everybody else is doing. Worker bee, yeah, there's some stuff I gotta get ahead of for tomorrow morning, so... Just gonna do some casual internet drama shit, nothing crazy.
Up here, because that's exactly what you had said right the moment before I joined, after I didn't type in the comment section for over 10 minutes. And I was just seriously listening.
I didn't say anything about you before the comments started saying that you were here and that you should come
So you're saying that you were provoked by the comments?
Yes, I saw the comments and I said, hey, if Dean's in here, then we should have him up.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, you were not like, hey, if Dean's in here, we should have him up. You're like, no, I find it funny that Dean is
No, I didn't fucking say any of that. The thing that I said was funny is that...
Why are you...
Malkaz, did you catch that... I don't know if do you watch Queeman streams? Did you catch that stream that he did where he was going over? I forget who it was, Spinal or something like that. It was like Aiden and like a bunch of other people were confronting him, some guy about like having minors in his Discord. Did you see anything about that?
Like Nick fucking Fuentes.
Why are we like trying to change what you said?
You want to pull? Okay, let's just pull the live clip.
Yeah, for sure. Like the takeaway from what you'd said was not like, oh, Dean's in here. I wonder if he'll come up. No, the takeaway from what you said was, oh, like Dean debated Nick Fuentes. Why wouldn't he debate Destiny?
Yeah, that's weird.
Like, preluding to the idea that
been meaning to. Okay. Gotcha.
Dean's running from Destiny, etc.
You'll debate a neo-Nazi,
Now my
but
fucking
you
pizza's
debate a
getting
fucking
cold.
liberal. Like what? Yeah, you'll debate a neo-Nazi, but you won't debate a liberal. I found that weird.
Okay. Once again, one thing
Look, since you're here, look, you've spent how much time on this panel now, and you won't talk
More
to
time
us.
than I
Wait,
want to.
wait, I'm curious. Can I ask a question? What happened at dinner that made me such a horrible person?
Well, I wouldn't say it was necessarily like the sit-down conversation that we had. I mean, for the most part of it, I actually enjoyed the conversation that we had. I would say it's like more that I learned about you from like in proximity to like your streams, and maybe some of the things that had happened before in the streams, a better understanding of like your idea, like of your like what beliefs you hold to be the case, like what you think is like best for the country and for the world. I don't know if like horrible person is what I'd say. I mean, I just think that you have like definitely some takes that I think are like pretty deplorable.
What do you think is like? I'm just curious. What's like my most deplorable take? We don't have to dive in everything. I'm just curious. What is my most deplorable take?
That's crazy. This is crazy. Like, Destiny doesn't have deplorable takes. I mean, maybe you might think he is deplorable as a person, but like, I don't think he has deplorable takes. I don't know. Does he? Does anybody think Destiny has deplorable takes? And I don't mean like, oh, I disagree with him so much and that's why it's deplorable. I mean like, you know, the deplorables, right? Your Nick Fuentes and things like that. That's what you would if you're on that side, you would use that word to describe people like Nick Fuentes and things like that. Aiden's growing on me a little bit, but holy shit, I do not like him in general. I don't know much. I only hear about Aiden from Chud and Queeman, and I don't watch his streams. I'm not against him, but I guess it's just because I don't know enough about him, you know. Shit food and movie takes, that's all? Yeah, okay, that's true. Do a cold call to an HR job. How do I introduce myself? A cold call to an HR job? Oh, for a job. I don't know. I've never done a cold call. That, I don't know. I mean, you got to think, before this, I was in the military, so I literally just got this job right out of the military, and I didn't really have to do much other than submit a resume. That was it. And then after that, they called me, so... before that, I was acting and doing real estate. Those jobs fell into my lap. I worked in hospitality for a decade. You don't have to deal with HR when you do that kind of stuff. So I've never really done it. I don't know. Don't take my advice on it. That's for sure. I wouldn't know what to do, especially with HR, man. HR sounds like a nightmare, man. I mean, I work for a giant corporation now. We have a massive HR department, but I don't ever have to deal with them because, whatever. There's never any HR stuff that comes up with me, so.
Like off the top of my head, like a couple things that like.
I mean, be nice. I don't know. I have no clue.
You find to be the case that like.
Or just the number one thing. It's the number one, the most deplorable thing.
I don't know if I've been able to like rank one on the spot.
I will say you probably will have to fake. It just depends on the culture of the place that you're applying to. But you will have to fake all of the DEI stuff. You're gonna have to put on a smile and be like, "Yeah, I'm all about pronouns." And before we get started with this conversation, I'd like to do a land acknowledgement. Like you're gonna have to fake all that shit and just ride that wave. I mean, I don't think that I have any deplorable takes, but I don't think that if HR watched my stream, I don't think they'd be too happy with either the content that I go over or maybe some of my opinions. But if HR did come to me, I would just be like, yeah, I'm all about inclusion, and I got a couple pride flags up, and I'm just all about frickin' indigenous rights and shit. I would just be like, whatever you want to hear, here it is. Because I don't fucking care, you know. My job is too good, and I don't let my job, like, you know, impact my personal life. Do you mind reacting to political music? I'm not reacting tonight because I'm also hello anarchist. How are you? I'm not reacting tonight because I'm working. I got some stuff I got to get ahead of for tomorrow morning, so I'm kind of just, this is a casual stream. I'm just listening to some internet drama tonight. That's pretty much it. You know, on another night I might, if you want, you can just join the Discord, and there's a channel in the Discord called Links for Legate. You can just drop whatever you want in there, and then one night we can go over it. Can't stand that shit. Yeah, I do have a contract in the office that will vouch. They have the resume. Okay. Yeah, you just, that's really the only hurdle you have to. Yeah, I mean, there's like certain things. I mean, if it's not a direct job interview, then you don't have to worry about this. But once you're in the interview, you know, they're gonna ask you questions, and then at one point they're gonna say, "Do you have any questions for us?" And you can't say, "No, I don't." You need to say, "Oh, yes, and thank you for the opportunity." You know, one thing I was wondering about was, you know, what is the strategic goal as it relates to the culture of the company? You know, like you have to like ask these like really curious questions, you know, just to like show that you're not some kind of mindless robot or whatever. You know, there's certain, but that kind of stuff you can just YouTube, you know, like best job interview, you know, techniques or whatever. And there's people that can like school you through that kind of stuff. But I've been through enough job interviews in my life where I don't have to, I don't have to do that kind of thing. I've had a lot of jobs. But yeah, you're going to have to do the DEI stuff and just, you know, smile through it. And definitely, and then when it comes to the job interview, just be curious, you know, curious and professional. That usually brings you a long way. So yeah, there you go. Good luck. Good luck.
I mean, I'd probably say like some comments, beliefs as it relates to Israel, and then maybe like the usage of like particular words.
What's like the most deplorable comment I made about Israel, or like the most deplorable opinion I have about Israel?
I'm sure, like if I were to like go like pull up, like various.
I'm not asking for like a clip. It's not like a make a syllogism of all the things. I'm just curious. Like, what is your impression? Like, I'm not gonna sit here and ask you to pull a quote from me. I'm genuinely, I'm just curious. What is the horrible, deplorable opinion?
I mean, I feel like I've kind of gotten the takeaway from your comments on your comments, etc., content, etc. And pretty pro-Israel. You know, Israel's in the right, Palestine's in the wrong. We need to continue to be allies with Israel. You know, what the fuck? Like, what the hell is a conditional allyship? We should continue to send them money, guns, bombs, etc. Continue to kill the Palestinians, provoke Iran, create more global conflict. You know, drop more bombs and like violations of like the UN's principles and international law. ICJ sucks, etc. Like, I think that there's like kind of like a group of beliefs that I disagree with that I think would have like some negative implications, ethically speaking. Okay. But
have you heard me say any of these things, or have you heard other people say I say these things?
Probably a culmination of both. But if you're going to ask me for like a specific scenario where like you said one of these things, I want to be able to give it to you.
No, I'm not here to pull quotes. That's like they do this here. Okay, I was just curious. Yeah.
Yeah, and like so, I mean, like I don't know, like beliefs as it relates to Israel, and maybe like a couple other things like usage of terms. Like I haven't heard you say this specifically, but I've heard like friends say this about you. Like, you know, I don't know, like you necessarily seem like much of a big deal, like the usage of slurs, and like maybe there's some like derogatory language that you don't really care too much about. There's like another one, I guess, and I feel like there's probably that's a big section where we disagree with, but I mean that just is as it relates to like the beliefs that you talk about on live. Maybe like there's like a couple things that you've done like in your personal life that like would like make you have a bad character. I'm sure there's like a long list of those. So it's like a culmination of like the beliefs in which you hold to be the case, whether it's like politically speaking or socially speaking, and then like a culmination of facts of your character and prior actions.
Okay, all right, just curious.
But like not Nick Fuentes though, not Nick Fuentes.
Yeah, no, I definitely say that Nick Fuentes is worse than Destiny. I mean, anybody that would disagree with that is kind of crazy.
Right. But like you're willing to debate Nick Fuentes, but not Destiny.
You know, in retrospect, I probably wouldn't have debated Nick Fuentes. Like if I could do it all again, I would
Culture might be different in USA. My professor said to me when they say so you have a question, unless you have 10 years of experience and it's for a huge salary, you don't need to ask any questions. It'll just annoy the interviewer, but you have to be polite in how you say no. That's definitely a culture thing. Where was it? I had like a... I did have like a culture... There's definitely like a difference. Maybe, yeah. There's definitely like a culture difference in U.S. and German etiquette. I mean, I saw actually a... let me see if I have it here. Oh yeah, this was it. Yeah, maybe in Germany they do things differently. I mean, I saw this and I saved it. It was like, you know, I'm gonna save this one for Conrad. See if it actually like makes sense to somebody. Let me see.
But this is the thing that we don't really understand about Germany. Once something becomes a rule, it is a rule. In fact, I once had a very interesting conversation with two friends of mine. One is from California and one is from Germany. And we were talking about losing your driving license. And the Californian said, in Germany, what would happen if you lost your license and then you know, drove your car? And the German said, no, you cannot do this. And he says, yeah, I know, but what if, you know, I know you're not supposed to, but what if you did? He says, no, you cannot drive, you have no license. And the Californian went, yeah, man, but, you know, late one night, you go for a drive. And the German went, it is impossible to drive without a license! Impossible! Impossible! But this is the thing that we don't really...
I guess, I don't know if that's actually representative of people in Germany, but... Interview will be like, the fuck you know about strategic direction of culture and stuff, like you're not at that level, and they know you're just asking a question for the sake of asking, and then they have to answer to be polite. It's just cringy for everyone involved. I guess, yeah. I mean, it's not impossible to not know about that kind of stuff. I don't, even at different levels. It probably, yeah, that's probably a question for another level, but it just shows curiosity. I mean, that's just a culture difference. Like, U.S. corporate etiquette is probably a lot more different than the way things go in Europe. We're very much like a LinkedIn kind of, you know, LinkedIn like runs corporate culture basically. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know what the answer is, but that would be the advice that somebody would give me here in the States, you know, to get a job.
Probably like saved myself like the time and the energy and the effort. Dude, those gripers, they fucking suck. Let me tell you, they're definitely a very hostile fan base.
Yeah. Interesting.
Wow, cool. Well,
I'm going to go ahead and drop it. Then once again, I mean, the reason why I came up here, and I don't really feel like you're too responsive, and was just...
Well, you called me weird. You publicly called me weird while all of your followers were in the comments.
Yeah, I did think
and then you wouldn't let me address it.
I did think that...
Wait, I'm curious. I'm curious. Just a quick, random, final question. Do you acknowledge that I've never said that we should call people like racial slurs, but there are other large leftist content creators, I won't say their names, but it rhymes with Asan, that say that it's okay to call people certain...
Definitely rule following motherfuckers, yeah. I figured that, yeah.
Racial slurs like Gusano or Cracker?
I mean, maybe we could have a conversation about what a slur is. I don't know if like as it relates like against like white people in general, like cracker is going to be a slur. Isn't like that specifically a slur against like Irish immigrants?
I mean, even if it was a slur against Irish immigrants, is that still not a slur? Are Irish people not human?
Well, I mean, I'm like, based upon like the historical connotation of this of the term, like I do think it was actually used as like a very derogatory term against Irish immigrants. But I mean, so like maybe like there's an arguable case there. But as it relates to like the usage in like broader society, I don't know if it like meet my criteria for what I consider to be a slur.
There are no slurs against white people at all? That's not possible?
I think that like the broader takeaway from, you know, like what your question was as it relates to Hassan. I mean, I don't think that like Hassan's like a good dude either by any means. You know, I think that maybe that's misinterpreted about me a lot. Is because like I'm not a fan of Destiny. This must mean that I'm a fan of Hassan. Now, like I think I've had like some civil discourse with him, but there's definitely also like some facts about him that I disagree with as well. I mean, I made that pretty public, like reacting to his content and whatnot. And as it relates to your question, saying is it like not possible like slur white people? Well, I mean, I'd say that like the term cracker probably doesn't meet my criteria for what a slur is, but I'm gonna go.
What about like pasty white boy or redneck or white trash or?
I mean, definitely.
Are there any slurs against white people or?
A racial slur? I mean, sure. We could probably consider there to be like some slurs under like a particular usage of the term. But like, I guess the reason why I'd be maybe against that idea is because when I think of like slur, I think it's something that's like and like enormously wrong, like invoking some like greater sense of oppression against an individual or a group of individuals. And I mean, like you could probably assume that I would like hold to a different depiction of like what racism is compared to what you do. And maybe like a reason why I'd be like less willing to use like the term slur in relation to like derogatory terms against white individuals is because I don't think that they'd like fit like a particular depiction of like being like incredibly racist or anything and like the harm that it would generate. But I mean, like,
would it be okay to use slurs against like Jewish people in the United States since they're generally wealthier, more educated, don't experience like massive societal oppression or anything? And in the U.S., there are like no slurs against Jewish people.
Well, I mean, I think that there definitely is slurs that exist against Jewish people. I mean, I could think of a couple off the top of my head.
Why would they be slurs if they have like majority power status in the U.S.? They're not currently being oppressed by any systems or laws or people.
Sure, I'll answer this question. However, after I answer this question, I'll probably go and eat my pizza before it gets cold. But I mean, I'll like give you the credit of answering a question before I head off. Like the reason I'd be like more willing to classify maybe like the K word as a slur against like Jewish individuals, but not like cracker as a slur against white individuals, is because like like the origins of the term was definitely like used as like an incredibly oppressive term to like further the dehumanization of like Jewish individuals, and like aided and abetted in like their systemic like slaughter. But I mean, as it relates to like the term cracker, like what's like the historical usage of the term as it related to some like greater system of oppression to like systemically slaughter white people?
Is systemic slaughter the baseline for when you consider a thing a slur or not?
I don't know if it's going to be necessary, but in this sense, it would be sufficient. And like, I just don't know.
Should I be able to call? What about like African immigrants? Should I be able to call African? Should I be able to call African immigrants the N-word as long as I don't use the N-word against like African Americans? Like, it's not because I'm Nigeria or Kenya. Like, these aren't like African American slaves in the United States. Is it okay against them since they have a different background and that word wasn't used to like systematically oppress and slave those specific nationalities? Or
I did tell you that I was going to head off after the last question that you asked me.
All right, that's fair. Okay.
However, I don't mind like answering one more.
Yeah, go for it. You can have the last word on it. Go for it. I want to ask you another one.
If that makes any sense. So I mean, yeah, as it like relates to usage of like the N-word. So like, yes, this is going to like be sufficiently defined as a slur because of like the oppression of African Americans inside of America. However, like I'm sure that there's like various other reasons why we'd say that it is still considered a slur to use that against like African individuals that didn't experience the oppression of like an African American in American history. And I wouldn't mind like going through those reasons with you. In fact, like what I will say is it might even be useful to like have more critical dialogue on like why words are slurs or derogatory in general, and like why it's wrong to use these words, and why like large groups of people shouldn't use these words regardless of the context or intent. And the reason why I'd say that would be beneficial is because I do feel like for the most part, a lot of individuals
I don't know what the running norms are on this platform, so I'll delegate that to other people. And I'm just sitting here in the corner. I don't know what the running norms are on this platform, so I'll delegate that to other people. And I'm just sitting here.
Can kind of be a mutual agreement here is like, I'm fine with saying, okay, look, you finally talked to Destiny, you're no longer running or whatever. As long as you're going to stop this thing about like calling my defensive Z weird and then, you know, not letting me respond to it. And then having your fan base like call me a runner for that. I think that's a little bit hypocritical.
I mean, what's hypocrisy?
Look, when you're saying, you know, when you're holding one standard that you're also not going to apply to yourself.
So what's the standard?
The standard was making a claim about me and not letting me address it, and then calling me a runner when I said, hey, we can't talk right this second, but we could talk in a future time.
Wait, even the two things that you just said contradicted themselves, because you said on one hand that I made a claim against you and I didn't let you address it, but on the second claim as it relates to me, like calling you a fucking runner, that's because you told me that you wanted to talk to me. I was like, okay, I'm gonna let you address these things, let's have a conversation, and then you backed out, so...
I gave you, okay, hold on, that's not me backing out. I gave you the exact reason. Do you remember the reason that I told you that I couldn't talk to you right that very second? Just like you say, okay, well, I scroll in live and I see these fucking rando, like, F-tier debaters on TikTok, and they always think that I'm running from them because I'm not coming up to debate them. Well, that's exactly what you did to me, was I said, okay, like, look, we can talk about this now. I talked with the rest of the people on the panel. They said, hey, no, we don't want to talk to Dean right now. And, you know, I had further discussion with them, and they said, actually, you know what, it's fine. Maybe have Dean on 10, 15 minutes later. And you said, you know, no, I can't debate now.
Oh, okay. Well, given the additional context, you didn't run.
Okay, look, so that's fine. Look, I won't call you a runner. Don't call me a runner. And don't call me a weirdo publicly without, like, talking.
I definitely don't take back the weird comments, but I will take back the runner comment given the additional context you just provided.
Wait, I gave you I gave you that context initially, but that's neither here nor there.
Hey, Dean, I'm just wondering, do you think it's weird that you're not trying to build electoral power when we have Trump in office right now?
I think it's weird that I'm not trying to build electoral power.
Wait, you don't think that that's weird?
No, I just repeated the question that you asked me.
Okay. I'm glad that you know.
Oh God, I got myself trapped in a conversation. Jesus, my pizza is officially cold, and I didn't even get around to the cinnamon bites. No, I wouldn't say that's weird. No.
You don't think that that's weird, and you don't think that that's like a little bit of a privileged take.
So I wouldn't say that it's weird that I'm not like delegating a lot of my focus to like a very specific task to build electoral power. On one hand, I'd say like doing so been like ground up into investment in like electoral power. Like I'd say just because like I have like particular interests that maybe other people like in like the political ecosystem don't have. That doesn't make me weird. Like I'm pretty sure that like a functioning political ecosystem on the left would like include like a diversity of interests and actions, such as like a group of people over here like focusing on building an electoral power, and then a group of people over here maybe like focusing on trying to convince people on the other side of the aisle that they're wrong, and then maybe like a third group of people focused on like educational content, and maybe like a fifth group of people focused on like building the left up by seeking out.
I get what you're saying, but I think it's weird to focus on taking down people that are trying to build electoral power when we're meant to all be on the same side. That's what I think is weird. I don't think it's weird that you have different interests. That's fine. But when you're in the comment section of every single live trying to tear us down, that's the part that I think is weird.
Wait, when you say like tear you down, you mean like critique you?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
What do you mean by tear you down?
Well, in the way that, I mean, do we have to go over the entire events of the last month, or?
You're like talking about like all my critiques of you. Like, no, I don't think that like that's weird. I mean, I think it's like totally fine for me to say that I worked with somebody. I really didn't enjoy working with them. Here's like a handful of things, X, Y, and Z, in which they did when I was working with them that I didn't enjoy, that I thought were wrong. And like when addressed, like accountability was not seen. So now I'm gonna divest my interests. And like I hope that they're able to have success, but at the same time, I really hope that they could like kind of realize the wrong decision they've made and maybe like take accountability and just recognize that they can make better decisions in the future. Like I don't think it's like weird for me to like do any of those things.
Yeah, I think it's weird 2 months later that you're still like obsessed with being in the comment section and giving your opinion on something that you claim that you moved on from.
You think it's weird that 2 months later I'm obsessed with being in the comment section? What do you mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean, because essentially we're all on the same side and we're all trying to build electoral power in whatever way that we're trying to do that, whether you're doing it through debates or there are people.
In like seemingly like, the Unfuck America tour has now become like marginally less efficient. These like Anne's takeaways saying, well, let's no longer focus on like Stephen debating Trump supporters or maybe what the Unfuck America tour is about, and let's rather focus on the fact that Dean Withers is in the comment section running from destiny.
You think you think us hosting like 3 lives a week is me focusing purely on you? Girl, I do not think about you. I want you to know that. I genuinely, unless you comment in a live, I don't think about you.
Anne couldn't have said it better myself. Z, go ahead and take what Anne said, but instead of it being Anne directed towards Dean, make it Dean directed towards Z.
I don't understand what you're saying. All I'm asking, Dean, is honestly...
That one was easy.
Honestly, Dean, though, I don't understand this like need to be in such opposition to what we're doing. Like, if you don't like it, that's fine. Just say, wait, who cares, right? Like, just move on.
Wait, what do you mean? Like, such strong opposition? Dude, I voiced my concerns. I made it very clear where I sit. I made it very clear where I think
you did. You made it very, very
and
clear.
Then ever since then, I mean, you haven't seen me, like, with, like, fucking, like, pitchforks and, like, a 7-hour live every day, like, saying, oh, the Unfuck America tour needs to go. Like, no, I voiced my concerns. I gave my critiques. And, like, honestly, at this point, I've kind of disengaged. However, like, I haven't, like, thereby, like fallen from the positions that I've held. And I don't know, like, you just kind of sound butthurt.
Disengaged?
Yeah, I mean, like, listen, I guess it's very clarifying to me that you said that you're not really here to build electoral power. So that's actually answered a lot of what my questions were, because I thought that you were. So the fact that you're not, okay, that's fine.
Okay, now you're just equivocating. So what I specifically said is I'm not relegating like most of my focus into building like a ground up foundation dedicated to like holding electoral power via like hiring like canvassers to get out there and get individuals registered to vote. And then I went on to like give an explanation of like the political ecosphere and how like my interests more so align with like A, educational content, and B, debate content insofar as informing individuals on the left and trying to get individuals to go from the right to the left. And like your takeaway from that is that, oh, I'm just not focused on electoral power at all. Like, what do you ultimately think that what I do amounts to? It amounts to more electoral power by convincing more people of progressivism, right? Now, what I was just simply stating was that the method in which I am using to build more electoral power on the left is not going to be identical to the method in which you're asking me if I think it's weird that I'm not doing, which is building up a ground-up foundation to like get people to get out there and vote, maybe like a PAC.
That's not all of what building electoral power means, Dan.
Okay, well, that's not all of what building electoral power means, like referring to
it
like
also just means building out an infrastructure of people that want to support each other, like what the right. Does so well. We've had this conversation in private before. You did agree with me when we did have this conversation.
I've agreed with you in private that we shouldn't tear down anybody on the left. I don't think so.
No, you agreed with, no, not that. You agreed with me that the right does that very well, that they help each other to build electorally throughout their right media infrastructure.
Oh, that the right does that well? Oh,
yes.
Fuck yeah, the right does that well.
And the left doesn't, right?
I would say that the right does it better than the left. However, I don't think that opens the door into essentially saying that the left just needs to, accept any action from any person at any point in time, regardless of what that action is. And I think that is a massive jump that you make that I don't support. And in fact, I'd even argue they don't truly make that jump. Because if you truly made that jump of saying that the left is so like poor in the sense of building out electoral power and pulling people together, and the right is so good at it, therefore the left just needs to concede any and all, forms of like criticism, red lines, etc. Why are you criticizing me right now?
Well, there's a way to do that behind closed doors, which is what I'm sure they do on the right all the time.
Yeah. Wait, Z, we're not behind closed doors right now. You should stop criticizing me so we don't hurt the electoral power of the left.
I'm not criticizing you.
Oh, you're not criticizing me?
I mean, we're pointing.
Like me saying my opinion.
Okay, so the more followers you have, the less you should criticize.
Well, also, Dean, I tried to have this conversation with you in private before you went on a live in front of 10,000 people, saying that I should not. On a live in front of 10,000 people, saying that I should.
Conversation with me in private, and then I went on the live. That sounds like a criticism to me.
That's the truth.
Oh, okay. So you're saying it's okay to criticize individuals insofar it's the truth. Well, I mean, that's what I'd say to you, Z.
I don't know what you're saying at this point. I think you're lost in the sauce.
That was incredibly easy to track. You just said that it's okay to criticize people.
Dean, I never openly Hold on, I never openly criticized you until you openly criticized me.
Hold on. I think it's completely dishonest because we went 5 months, thousands of videos from a bunch of like left-wing creators openly going, bonkers on us. Well, those of us didn't actually do much for criticizing you guys at all, or make counter videos, or do any of that stuff. Didn't leak a bunch of text, did nothing. So to sit here and be like, oh, you can't criticize me on this one live, I think it's dishonest in comparison to the past 5 months. We're not saying necessarily that we can't criticize you on this live. We're I guess highlighting the hypocrisy of, oh, you can't say that we can't criticize you on this live when the whole entire past 5 months have been extreme criticism.
Okay, so yeah, Mercedes, you're saying that it's hypocritical for me to say that you guys can't criticize me on this live when I've been criticizing you guys before this live. Well, like, Mercedes, that's kind of my point. Like the point of me saying that, like, Z can't criticize me, that's not going to be from my perspective. That's going to be from, like, y'all's perspective. Yeah, but I think that you just implicitly agreed to this because you're saying that all the, like, criticism over the last 5 months has been terrible because we shouldn't be criticizing people on the left because we should be building more electoral power. But then here you are criticizing somebody on the left today, and seemingly you can't even deny my argument here because you called it hypocritical.
Yes, you tried to take down an entire organization, and even after you did that, none of us made any negative videos about you.
Whoa, what, dude? Okay, I'm so sorry. I just saw something crazy in my text messages. I just got a text apparently saying that you, Z, were defending Ray Ray.
I was not defending Ray Ray. We can go over this whole thing.
No, I don't. I mean, listen.
And here and this is what I mean, Dean, is like, you're always looking for something to come at me about. And I'm not sure why, because honestly, even after all of this, I still invite you to the tour. You are still more than welcome to come and debate. You are still more than welcome to join us, because ultimately, what I want to do is work together to build electoral power. But I don't think that is your purpose here.
Oh, wait. Apparently you compared Ray Ray to me debating Nick Fuentes? I don't...
What? First of all, I think
it's like text about...
The info room. It's coming
this is the anonymous texter.
The anonymous texter, yeah.
Yeah. If it's Parker, tell him I say, hey, miss him. Hope he's doing well.
Listen. Anyways, I'm going to go... Now I'm going to heat up my pizza and eat it. So the pizza's cold. I personally blame every single person on this panel.
What a tragedy. Right, for you consensually coming up here.
Yeah, Trump is still in office, and we're still trying to defeat MAGA locally, but go heat up your pizza.
I'll leave it for this. So as it relates to kind of what you just said, I will say this. If you guys go out and continue the tour, I hope it's successful. And when I say successful, what I mean is I hope you're able to go out there and to convince as many individuals as possible that they shouldn't support Donald Trump. I hope that you're able to convince as many individuals as possible to register and vote for Democrats in the midterms in the next general election. The fact of the matter is, this is something that you're doing, and I hope that you're as successful as possible as it relates to it, and I'd hope that anybody and everybody listening can agree. However, right, I feel like you failed to recognize that, there's critiques that are true. There's, really good reasons why maybe, it shouldn't be you that's doing this, and why there's other people that might...
Dean, what are the good reasons? Because still to this day, you still have not explained what the good reasons are, especially the day after that live. You literally told me that person that started it is just a chronic online agitator that does this to everybody, including yourself. So what exactly is such a big problem with me running the tour? I don't understand.
Okay, what you just said was completely fucking false, by the way.
Dean, I have a text message. Don't make me show it.
No, you've already showed it. You've already posted it everywhere.
Next time, do it over. I mean, you told me most of this over the phone. But
I don't even know why. Like, you're fucking lying right now. So you have a text message.
I have.
Yes, you
I
are.
have the message.
Yeah, and what's the date of the message?
I can show you. If you would like, I can actually.
It's like fucking like 3 weeks. It's like fucking 3 weeks before you went up on Geeks Live. Don't interrupt me. Please don't interrupt me. Please don't interrupt me. It's like fucking 3 weeks before you went up on Geeks Live and did what you did, and then everything else transpired. And
Dean, I never was on any other live. What are you talking about?
Great.
I was never on any other live, so I don't know.
Okay, just let me know when I can finish. Yes, you specifically were on the live where Tashika had joined, and then she said that she had no issue calling for my death, and then went on a fucking rant about how I'm like the worst person ever. That's the individual that I was calling like this chronically agitator.
Agreed.
Because she literally wants to agitate individuals into thinking that it's okay for me to die.
Yes, agreed.
And you're trying to misrepresent that text that was sent 3 weeks before you went on Geeks Live as me calling like Geek and everybody else involved in like the original critique of the tour.
Dean, we didn't
as
even
chronically
meet.
online agitators.
Dean, we didn't even meet 3 weeks before the tour, so that's not
What
true.
was it, like 2
I was
weeks?
only on one live. It was that live. Tashika was on that live, and you were referring to Tashika. So if you know that she's an online agitator, and you sent that to me warning me that she's an online agitator, why is that grounds for me not running the tour?
Wait, I'm confused. Wait. I'm confused of what you're saying. Are you saying that like I think that you shouldn't run the tour because of Tashika?
Yeah, you said that I shouldn't run the tour because of microaggressions, because of that live. But you also said in the same breath in that live that she's an online agitator.
Okay, wait. So first and foremost, there's about a billion other reasons why I don't think that you're a good fit leader.
Dean, what are you talking about? I talked to you. Hold on. I talked to you on the tour like three times, and every single time we had a conversation was all good times. We hugged before you left. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm so confused.
I did not hug you before I left. I don't even know why.
Yes, you did. You literally did.
You were lying about this.
Just both of you guys off of the airport.
You were lying about this, just like you lied about the prior thing that you said in relation to the text message I sent you.
What are you talking about?
I don't know
talked to you
what is like
3 or 4
driving you to
times.
simply lie about these things.
How we lied about Dean, I talked to you 3 or 4 times on the tour, and none of those times was ever a bad conversation.
Right. Now, okay. So now we're getting into something that is true. So appreciate you for hopping off the hill that you were trying to die on, lying about me. I don't even know why you lied about
I literally hugged you guys before you left, and everything was fine. There was no issue at all. In fact, I was in communication with you guys when we came back from the tour, and there was no issue at all.
Literally, like, no clue why you lie about that. But anyways,
I was talking to Parker about him going to California to follow Charlie on the next stop.
As it relates to like good conversation on the tour, you know what? Honestly, man, I've already addressed that. I'm gonna go eat my pizza. You guys have a good rest of your night. I'll say this like one last time. I'll repeat it.
It's just so funny, Dean, because you have nothing to say. I was great working with you. I have no problem with you. I think you're good.
All right, yeah. Oh, yeah. 30 minutes ago to eat dinner, and now his fucking girlfriend
Dean, nobody's
voluntarily took the pizza, heated up, and put it on a plate in front of him just because I want to eat dinner with my girlfriend.
Well,
okay.
you have free will.
All right, fine. Okay, I have nothing to say. Okay, here's what I have to say. I'll go ahead and open my mouth and respond, so then it's not like, oh, Dean's a runner and whatnot. So you said that, on the tour, I was able to like speak to you professionally and have good conversation. Of course, I'm going to uphold some standard of professionalism in these events. This is already something that I've talked about online. This is already something that I've addressed on my live. And you're now acting as if I have no valid critiques of you or why you should be a leader of an organization like this. There's plenty valid critiques of you, apart from the ones of which are popular. The ones in which are less popular is the fact that you try to fucking send an NDA out to everybody on the tour, preventing them with
Dean,
working
you
with
and
other people on the tour
Parker-
3 years later. And then when I told everybody to not sign that NDA, you then called me and you blew up on me, screaming at me just because
I did not scream at you, Dean.
Yes, you absolutely did. No, just because I told people to not sign an NDA that would sign away their rights to work with other creators for 3 years. Like that's like a perfect other
First of
reason.
all, Dean, you signed an NDA. You signed the same NDA that we sent to.
Just for reference, in case anybody wondering who this person is that's talking. I think I have a clip of him. Let's see. It's this guy right here.
Pin. I'm sorry that I have anxiety. Okay, and honestly, yeah, it is kind of the fault of people like you that want to come up here and bully and berate me over something that I don't do. Okay, so cut the shit. It's not a vape, all right? It's an anxiety pin. And God, the amount of times that I've asked you to respect me and respect my anxiety pin. I'm sorry that I have anxiety.
You know what this guy reminds me of? It just hit me right now. Who's that fucking little kid that was the king on fucking Game of Thrones? Was it King Joffrey or something like that? What was that little kid's name? This guy reminds me of that. He's so dramatic. Look at the eye rolls and everything. He's so fucking dramatic.
Okay, and honestly, yeah, it is kind of the fault of people like you that want to come up here and bully and berate me over something that I don't do. Okay, so cut the shit. It's not a vape, all right? It's an anxiety pin. And God, the amount of times that I've asked you to respect.
That I've asked you to respect me. He's so fucking dramatic, bro.
Me and respect my anxiety.
Now, if he's like an actor or something like that, I can respect it. But if this is who he is, like in a normal sense, then he just has no self-awareness.
Pin. I'm sorry that I have anxiety. Okay, and honestly, yeah, it is kind of the fault of people like you that want to come up here and bully and berate me over something that I don't do. Okay, so cut the shit. It's not a vape, all right? It's an anxiety pin. And God, the amount of times that I've asked you to respect me and respect.
That I've asked you to respect me. He sounds like that fucking little kid from Game of Thrones.
My anxiety pin. I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
Everybody else.
Oh, that's not true. No.
Yeah, no, it's literally it's the exact.
Wait a second. Wait. That was wait. Just real quick. That was a big claim. There's an NDA that was being signed that would restrict people from working with other people for 3 years.
Yeah, no, that's not true. Why would we do that? Like, these are all people that are independent contractors. They're creators. Like,
wait, make the NDA public then. Make it public.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
It was section 4 of the NDA. I mean, like, that's like, come on, like anybody on the trip could make it public as well.
No, what it did say was that other creators couldn't talk badly about other creators on the tour. That's true.
There's particularly a section that prevented creators from working until one another, and it wasn't even 3 years; it was 7.
No, that's just
what you're talking about would be unenforceable, probably in every state in the U.S., but definitely, at least in California, where a lot of people are. That would be first of all, that's not even an NDA at that point. That's like an employment contract. Non-disparagement clauses, I think, are fairly common when it comes to signing things with companies. You usually don't want you disparaging them afterwards. But something that would restrict employment for 3 or 7 years after, that would be insane.
Yeah, that is insane.
Yeah, and also, it's
that's why I told people not to sign it because it is
Dean,
insane.
also,
well, it's insane such that like I can, without having seen any of this. And no offense to anybody else, I'm not saying my reputation and these people here, like knowing these people well, I just don't think anybody would send an NDA like that out. That's not even an NDA. That's like an employment clause. Even without knowing anybody here or vouching for them, there's no shot that there was an NDA sent out that would have restricted employment for 7 years. I don't believe that. There's no way.
Yeah, and also, like, there were people that messaged us saying, "Hey, can you change this clause or that clause?" And we just changed it, and they signed it, and it was fine. Like, I don't even know how this started. So all this started from Anne saying, "Oh, Dean is running from Destiny." So then I come up here, I turn on my camera, I show you my pizza, and I was like, "No, I'm not running. I'm just eating my pizza." Then I was gonna drop after that. Next thing I know, the pizza's gone. All the bags are packed, even though I just spent a decent.
I think you should just kill us on the spot for that. I think we should just all align on the spot for that.
And the next thing I know, I'm already on this live for like another fucking like 30, 40 minutes. Even though like I tried to set like 3 red lines saying I'll answer this one last question, then I'm gonna go.
So Dean, let's just make a truce and you can move on. You can enjoy your pizza. We all shake hands and we agree that we're here to stop Trump and we're good.
Wait, but like my position's not gonna shift. Like I already said, like I hope you guys are successful because you're already doing it. You know, go out there, get people registered. But like I mean I don't think that like you're like qualified to
I'm not qualified. Dean, I've been working in electoral politics since 2010. What makes me not qualified?
Yeah, and Donald Trump's been working in real estate since the 70s. What the fuck?
But what makes me not qualified for the job?
Sure, I mean, all the critiques, the long list of critiques that I have to you. If you'd like, I could send them in an email, but I'm going to go eat my pizza now.
Oh, okay, enjoy. Wild.
You guys have a lot of meta conversations on here. Is that normal?
Not really.
I feel like when I listen to all you guys, not just maybe different platforms, but I feel like on TikTok, I feel like 80% of the talking
Well, a lot of that you just heard is like fallout from the, what is it called? The Unfuck America tour, which was a bunch of people who I don't know, including all these new fucking TikTok debate bros like Dean and Parker and all that. They were going to go on a Charlie Kirk style campus run and basically try to, turning points, lib style, a bunch of, which I don't even know would have been effective because, majority of college campuses, you're going to have a lot of, progressive liberal students. So I don't know if they plan to just like tour the frat houses or whatever and try to change the minds of young Trump voters or whatever. But it turned into this whole thing. There was a lot of drama. There was claims of microaggressions and, subtle racism, and the whole thing just fell apart. Like just classic textbook Democrat 101 infighting and complete implosion. So a lot of the people that are on here, including Dean, who was on there, they're that's what they were wrestling with there towards the end. All right, that was that. I'm gonna see if this was that Aiden conversation.
Anyways,
Said I was 17. Yeah.
They dropped the.
He had yes, 100 and what that term means. Like, let's not be fucking stupid. Fucking find it. One to be memorialized for Michaela of selling
rescues. These are her own personal pets.
Yeah, well,
and then also raising.
I'm just realizing that this site that I'm reading the post off of is OnlyFans. Insane. Okay. 24th.
Take it in there.
But now, and brother.
Agree with that.
No, I mean, by the way, I agree with you that Smile shouldn't be in Perry's server, but the to run in my circles to say this. Let's just go by Tommy's words. Tommy said Aiden doesn't know
out with Nick or something. I'm gonna be able to say I told you so. That's like your basic of his reactions was the New Year's Eve stream. That letting Tommy,
I don't know, because it's like community.
Sorry,
like, I don't like if. Like, why should we, like, for example, like, if I find out, like, someone in my server, like, CPCA was in my server, like, a couple days ago, and he started, like, Spurg posting up.
Say, like, I'm a grown man.
You're gonna set yourself up in a bad.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey, it's just awesome. You just really, like, hey, like, I'm, like, I'm evil for having, like, Hater on, but, like, we're all okay with. All Hater does is they're literally just a random chatter who
refuses to kind of watch that shit because he doesn't want to be proven wrong. So he's the one thing that, being older, the advantages it has is that you've got more life experience, so you kind of, and
totally wrong, which demonstrates he did no preparation before going forward with his problems with Chud.
I would agree with that. I think that he
along and he like shits on like everybody. He
refuses to kind of watch that shit because he's just anybody from anywhere can come on and talk. So I don't know if you could kick him off, but at the same time, like, yeah, he's basically kind of destroying his reputation with all this shit going on.
What else is there to say?
Yeah, not a whole lot. I mean, again, like I said, you called me out, so I wanted to come on and defend myself a little bit.
Problem.
I know you want to get out of here.
All right, Marcus, I'm finally ready for you. If you want to call
I think this is it.
I'm here, Marcus. I'm here. I'm ready. I know I've left you in the dust. I'm here, Marcus. I'm here. No, Pete, Tommy initially believed what he was saying, but when he realized he got it wrong, he lied. He lied to avoid swallowing his pride and ego. So the lies are to protect the original things that he thought was true and blatantly got wrong. So he's lying to avoid making a concession for as long as possible. He threw out a point, realized it was wrong, and then lies that his point was actually something else, pretending like it was that way since the beginning when it's not. Marcus, what's up, man?
Hi, Aiden.
Hi. How's it going?
Hi, I'm here because of the whole Discord issue situation.
Yeah, I just covered that a little bit. I'm not like angry over it or anything.
No, I'm aware of that. I just want to kind of give it like my side here a little bit because I'm a little annoyed by it because I think QQ is kind of spreading a lot of information that's not true. Hater is not some like 16-year-old that goes around servers saying they're 16, like as if they want to get like fucking messaged by people. Hater is just
QQ
like
didn't
a regular.
tell me that. I don't know where else QQ said. I'm not in the Gamma server. I'll just let me.
Well, this was in reference to like I think Perry said this in your stream, but all Hater does is they're literally just a random chatter who makes like art of people, and then when people ask what their age is, they say their age and they're honest. And I just think it's like really weird that like Perry can have like someone like Spinal BJ, you know, like guy who indulges in like cut sluts. He's like a lolicon enjoyer. That can be in like his server, but like, you know, God forbid I have like Hater in my server who doesn't do anything evil. They're not like a weird evil.
I
freak,
hadn't considered that. You make a very good point. You make a very good. I'll have to talk to Perry about that one. The thing about somebody like Spinal BJ is, I don't keep him around because he's a liability. But also, if we were to assume that Spinal BJ is like an actual threat, who would his target group be?
I don't know.
Well, the claims are that he's a pedophile, right? So if he was a pedophile that was acting on it, who would he target?
It probably like I don't know, like
kids, right?
Kids, yeah. He'd go after the kids, yeah.
Yeah. So as far as I know, Perry doesn't keep kids in his server, so there's no targets for him within the server. But still, keeping someone like that around is like still a total liability. You're not.
Well, that's what I mean. I just think it's a little like a little hypocritical, I guess, to get to like come on and say like I'm like I'm evil for having like Hater on, but like we're all okay with Spinal being on there. Well, I feel like it's kind of like if we're all collectively on an agreement that every server should be 18 plus, then we should probably keep people who are like weird freaks out of our servers as well.
Well, the argument would be that by the way, I agree with you that Spinal shouldn't be in Perry's server, but the argument would be that Perry having Spinal in his server doesn't really create any additional threats that wouldn't already be present, like because there are no kids that are in his server. So then if Spinal, let's say, was...
This is like the whole fucking... This is what started my fucking fallout with fucking... Mr. fucking PP Man. The whole fucking thing. Because somebody in there... I don't know if they were directly claiming to be or if somebody else was saying that they were a minor. And I fucking talked to PPG about it. I was like, dude, what's up? You have minors in here? And he was like, oh, well, I mean, as long as they're just talking politics and they're not bothering anybody, then it's fine. And I'm like, is that your official policy? Is that what we're doing? He's like, yeah, I don't see anything wrong. I mean, as long as it's not getting weird and they're just talking politics, then whatever. I'm like, okay. I mean, if that's how you want to run your server, that's fine. But I got to get out of here because that is just a policy waiting to be completely shit on by something or someone, and it never ends up good. Never ends up good. That's why if you go to like my rules page, I only have one rule, and it's like no minors ever. No period minors ever, period, and then like I don't know, and then sometime in the next week or two we had like it was me, Turbo, PPG, like a bunch of people. We had like a whole age gap conversation for which PPG sounded absolutely crazy and wanted to increase the age of consent from 18 to 25, which made no fucking sense. Even and Ophelia and Tiger Girl, and there was a bunch of people in there, other people than me, saying, dude, you're making absolute no sense. This is, you're just making, for one, this number is arbitrary, 25. Unless you're doing like a frontal lobe kind of argument or whatever. But yeah, no, I mean, but this, and then it just snowballed from there, and I was like, fuck PPG forever. But it started with me leaving his server because he was cool with having minors in there, and I was like, dude, this never ends up good. Never ends up good. The moment you know you have minors in your server, you need to fucking squash that shit. And he just was very, indifferent about it. So I was like, okay, all right, I'm out of here. Never ends up good, man.
like some like offending pedophile, there would be nobody for him to target, so there's no additional risk created by his presence. In the case of having someone like Hater in your community who's 16, by having them on your Discord community, there is an additional risk, like another member of the server finding them and messaging them in private, them being exposed to inappropriate material, etc., etc.
I mean that is fair, yeah. I guess that's fair. It's just I don't know. I don't allow explicit content on my server. Like I think that's another problem that I have is I'm being told I allow cunny or like lolly shit in my server. I don't. The only thing that people use is this like GIF that's of like a character from an anime called Lucky Star, and
with the word "cunny" on it, right?
Yeah, with the word "cunny" on it. And I don't know if I'm just retarded, maybe I'm stupid, but I don't think that's like sexually suggestive or weird content. I don't think the word "cunny" is like should automatically like alert you to thinking. I don't know, maybe I'm stupid, but
Dude, I mean, yeah. Let's just be like totally honest. Maybe you didn't know. Yes, that is like it is sexually suggestive.
The word "cunny"?
Yes. Yep.
Well, like I know the word "cunny" is like, you know, I know what it means. I'm just saying, like saying the word "cunny." What is that like? How is that putting a kid in danger in a server?
It's not putting them in danger. It's potentially exposing them to harmful material.
Well, yeah, but they're not like. Hater's not like a toddler. They know what cunny is. They're like aware of this stuff. Like most like Aiden, most like 17, 16-year-olds, right? They're not like prepubescent babies that can't like function. They know what like sexual stuff is.
Listen, man, like I know that that's the case because unfortunately, right, people are exposed to all sorts of things nowadays, but that doesn't mean like you should like facilitate it or entertain it.
Like it's not said a lot in my server. It's just like it was brought up as a joke like a month ago.
I'm not saying that it's said a lot.
I'm not
saying that it's said a lot, but there is but we've established there is adult content posted in your server, right? Whether that's on occasion or regularly, I don't know. You're saying it's on occasion or rare, right? But we also know that there is a minor present in the server. So why not like mitigate like any potential liability or risk by just like keeping them out till they're 18?
I don't know, because it's just what reason would I need to do that? I guess I keep the server at like no porn, no like anything of that sort. Like if it comes down to like if the cunny GIF is bad, then sure, I'll moderate it better and put a ban on any words like cunny and like the GIFs, right? But like I just don't really see why like putting it 18 plus is really gonna change anything. I guess I don't know. I mean, I've said this already, but like at this point, I'm getting tired of like constantly being called like a general like freak by like QQ.
Yeah, I
fucking
like multiple communities to the point where
you will get accused of having a grooming community. 100%. You can't do ironic pedophilia and children in the same.
Yeah, dude, what are you thinking, man? Why do you sound like you don't know what the fuck they're talking about?
Server. That doesn't work.
Well, like, what do you mean unironic, like, pedophilia?
Ironic pedophilia. Dude,
oh, sorry.
Cunny posting.
Well,
I've never heard of this before, cunny posting. This is new. Like, I just saw this yesterday on Queeman stream. I have no clue what cunny posting is. If somebody out there knows what it is, let me know. But this is the first time I'm hearing of it.
It said, like, if that's, like, the issue, I just get rid of it. Like, I don't... If that's, like, the issue, then sure, I'll get rid of it.
But, like, is your entire community not crossing over with, like, people like Mrao and all this shit? Well, like, why would you risk having a child in a Discord server interacting socially with people day in, day out?
Well, they don't. I don't know. Like,
that's exactly what I told fucking PPG. Exactly what I told him.
They don't. Hater literally only she's like in the server.
So another child joins, and they want to interact in there. Do you allow that?
I mean, I guess like if they're 16, 17, I don't really care. Anything under 16, 17, I don't really care.
Okay, let's just say there's more and more 16-year-olds keep joining your Discord, and then there's Lumpy Willy and Mrao posting about cunny as well. Do you think?
Well, then I'll probably get rid of the cunny that's being posted. I'll probably like get rid of it.
Mrao is still in there.
Right.
Well, what
exactly.
about
Then he could just start DMing all these minors that are in your fucking Discord and being like, hey, isn't this Discord really cool? And then you are the touch point. You are the fucking that medium, that connection between whoever the fuck that is and the minors that are in your server. Even if you fucking squash the cunny or whatever this fucking ironic CP stuff is, it's not going to matter because then these people are just still in your Discord and they're meeting each other through your server. And it all comes back to you at some point.
Not like honey posting my server.
You have many people like this around that are just like 20, 21, maybe up to like 23, talking to teenagers on Discord probably. Around in this community, you know that's the case, and you're constantly willing to risk having something blow up in your face that could look fucking terrible for you.
Well, I'm at a point where I'm just gonna do 18 plus. I've said I'm gonna just fucking do it.
Hate is just that cool. Hate is just awesome. You just really like hate her that much. She's really mature for her age. Like, what's
it's not just okay. It's not just hater, but I'm just saying like.
Were there more?
I think there's like one other guy that just recently joined, and I'm at a point where I'm just like, okay, I'll get rid of him. I don't really care.
That's probably a good start. Yeah, you'd be
like
saving yourself.
I don't know. I'm just
what is the benefit to having 16 and 17-year-olds? There's an insane risk. You can't tell when there's like something bad happening, so you can step in or ban people if you need to. You'll only find out when it's too late that there's like a massive risk. What is the benefit?
I don't know. It's just I like my Discord server because it's like community.
Okay, what is the benefit to the community, including 16 and 17-year-olds?
I don't know. I guess you win. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
What is there to think about, dude? What did he say? He's like, oh, just because it's my, I just like having a community.
And people if you need to. You'll only find out when it's too late that there's like a massive risk. What is the benefit?
I don't know. It's just I like my Discord server because it's like community.
Okay, what is the benefit to the community, including 16 and 17-year-olds?
I don't know. I guess you win. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. It's just to fucking joke around in the server, have fun. But I guess if like this is genuinely like a serious risk that people think is a serious risk, then sure.
Well, it's just like it's not even like no one gives a fuck. I don't give a fuck if some 20-year-old fucks a 17-year-old from your Discord server, but it could be a worse age gap than that. There could be worse things happen than that. It could blow up in your face. It could be even that age gap. To be honest, some people are going to probably harangue you about. And if that happens multiple times in your server, if there are multiple times where someone's fucking someone that's 16 or 17 or sexting or whatever the fuck, and that comes out, you're going to look like you've got a grooming server. You already kind of look like you've got a grooming server when you say, yeah, I'm a commentary YouTuber who allows 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds in. That already is what the fuck is going on over there?
It's opening yourself to like totally unnecessary liability that doesn't need to be there at all. And like, I guess the question would be why? Why then like open yourself to...
Wait, I didn't pick me up. Well then, I mean then okay.
Wait,
I guess if it.
Well, so fuck.
Either, I think it's kind of just either I have to completely stop making like, jokes that are a little outrageous, and I think maybe then it maybe is fine, but I don't know. I do make jokes that are outrageous.
Why are you considering changing your humor to accommodate?
I'm not considering changing my humor. I don't want to change it. I'm saying like I agree with you. I'm just gonna get rid of them. Like I don't want to change my humor. I don't. I like the humor. We all indulge. We love the weird like stupid humor. If the whole entire argument here is just like you're gonna set yourself up in a bad way, please don't do that to yourself. Then yeah, I'm not gonna fucking fight that.
Yeah. How old is Jewel?
I think that person is They like self-admitted they're 15. I have to get them out of the
so
server.
you do keep younger than 16 in your server. Just be clear.
Well, I gotta get them out. I have to get them out. I said earlier today I have to fucking kick them out.
Why did you not just instantly unban them? Why did you not just right-click the name and fucking?
Well, because I just learned now that like today they're 15.
No,
I didn't
you
know they were 15
that.
before.
No, they literally on the 17th they told you they were a minor, and in their bio their age was there.
What do you mean on the 17th?
At 7:37 p.m. On June 17th, 2025, you said I'm in the shower, and they replied with minor in chat.
Well,
minor in chat. That's fucking instant no go, bro.
Well, yeah, I just assumed they were like hater.
Do they have
I'm
their
sorry, yeah.
age in their bio though?
Oh, I didn't check it. I'm sorry.
Right. Okay. So you just like totally stumbled through this. I had no idea this was like a kid, and then told us that you only found out today.
They said it in my stream today. Like I'm 15, and I looked at it and I was like, I'm gonna have to get rid of you then.
But when they told you they were a
you went
minor,
and looked at it and didn't just ban them then.
Somebody came in my chat the other day. It was like a week ago, and they were like, "Hey, what's up?" And they were talking, and they're like, "Hey, I'm from Finland," and they were like, sometimes I get banned because of my opinions, and I'm like, I mean, look, as long as you don't put my stream at risk, you're more than welcome to stay. I have all kinds of people in my chat, so it's usually not a big deal. And like, oh, cool, awesome, yeah. And then like after 10, 15 minutes of talking, whoever this person was like, oh, by the way, just so you know, I'm 13 and blah blah blah. And I was like, and at that point they had already joined my Discord and were dropping fucking videos in the Links for Legate channel, and that's when I kind of just went fucking silent mode for like 2 minutes, and then went into the Discord, saw that they were there, saw that they were fucking just joined, dropped a link for a video, still in the chat talking, and I was like, okay, look, instant ban from the Discord, instant ban from the from the stream, and I sent them a message saying, look, sorry, no minors, come back when you're not a minor anymore, actually no, what did I literally say? I did not say come back when you're not a minor, just to be clear. I said to them I said, sorry man, 18 plus only. That's what I said to them. It was somebody named Java Man, or no, Java, what was it? Java 70. So yeah, just instant ban. It's like, if you're gonna, that's fucking streamer 101. Streamer 101. The moment people start talking, like, the moment you start mentioning your age, especially when you're that young, you're gone. See you later. End of story. If you never mention your age, then there's nothing we could do about it. But the moment you do, then it's on you. Now, if somebody does and you never see it, if you're doing something else, playing a game or whatever, hopefully somebody in your chat will let you know, hey, this person, they need to go. Hopefully. But man, like it happened to me, squashed it instantly. It didn't even look back. This guy's like, oh, but I mean, I like my community, and it's like, well, dude, I mean, you're fucking, you're making the bed you're gonna sleep in at some point with fucking, attitudes and policies like this.
Why not?
I don't know. I'm sorry.
When they told you they were a minor, why didn't you just clarify how old they were?
I don't know. I don't know. I should have clarified.
It seems like
right.
you won't actually get rid of them. It seems like you were just fine with having a 15-year-old on the server. That's what it seems like.
I mean, I don't know. I guess. Yeah. I guess. It wasn't an issue to me because I didn't think what was going on in my server was like genuinely like evil or bad.
So were you lying when you said you just found out today? You actually did probably know.
No, I'm not lying about that. I didn't know they were 15, but I'm saying like if I were to discover they were 15 previously, I'm not gonna like fucking. I wasn't like gonna like shit my pants and be like, oh, I'm gonna get rid of them. But after this like whole thing that got brought up today with the whole like QQ stuff and like sorry, I don't know why I forgot your name, Aiden. Yeah. When Aiden brought it up, I was just like, okay, at this point, like I'm getting rid of people because it's becoming a reoccurring problem that people keep saying like, there's minors in your server, you need to get rid of these minors out of your server. So I was just like, okay, fine.
So, but do you like minus the pressure you're receiving? Like, you see why that would be a problem, right? On its own.
What do you mean, like, if there was no pressure?
Like what? Yeah, like what the like?
No, I see the I'm sorry. Like I see when you bring up the fact that it's like it can cause like people to bring up like, oh, you're like not harboring, but like how do I put this? Like creating a like bad environment when you're making like cunny jokes and stuff in there. Like I get what you're saying.
But also,
I understand what you're saying.
But also, let's just say like I'm a grown man or whatever in your server, and I see Jewel now typing in chat that they're a minor on the 17th, and I go see in their bio, they're 15, they're a guy, and then I go and DM them and start having inappropriate conversations, totally oblivious to you. Like, do you see how it's creating like a liability? They're advertising themselves as minors.
Be interacting in your server as well.
Yeah.
While this shit's going on, if it ever comes out, they got groomed in your server because you allow minors.
So bad, dude.
I'm sorry. Repeat that. I didn't hear that.
What don't you get?
They're gonna say they got groomed in your server because you allow minors, and there's gonna be a bunch of logs where they're interacting in your server. It's gonna look fucking terrible. I mean, more than just that. I mean, you kind of did have a hand in it, realistically, because you just like why provide this point of contact or like fishing ground for an obvious like group of people that you can't vet every single person.
Yeah, I don't know.
Parry wants to come in. I know you were talking about him, so I feel like it's fair to let him in.
Okay.
Parry?
Hi, can you hear me? Sorry, I just Marcus, why are you comparing like spinals at all? You realize there's like a difference between having like an adult and a child in a server, right?
I mean, Perry, I have an issue with the fact that you like going on to like Aiden's stream saying like Hater is like some minor that goes around telling people she's like a minor, like as if she's like asking to be like, she doesn't. When she's asked about her age,
well, she does say that she's a minor. It's brought up every time. Every time I've seen him in chat, it's like, you're 16. You're 16, right? 17. I thought they were 70. I guess they're 16. So I mean, yeah, they do kind of make it a part of their personality. Yes. Oh, I guess I'm just like making it up. I'm making it up. Okay. So whenever they're in chat, someone says, "Aren't they 17? Aren't they 16?" That's how I knew. What? That they're underage?
Harry, her age is not a speculation. She doesn't go around saying she's like 16 to people.
I never said it was.
What you're saying that she goes around telling people she's like 16. That's not what she does. Like, when
she makes the part of her character. She makes it very clear.
Yeah,
the point is that she makes it like well known.
I knew how old she was.
And that makes it even worse that it's like well known and you're still allowing this person. If it's like a rare piece of lore that like one person knew, that's one thing. But she's like well known. Now again, what does this have to do with like the comparison with Spinal that you made? I don't get that at all.
I'm saying like if we're setting this like kind of precedent, we shouldn't have like any minors in server. It should be 18 plus. Then why are we keeping like people like Spinal BJ in these servers who are like?
Well, because he's
wait, Parrot, you gotta let him finish.
Yeah.
Let him finish.
Sorry.
I don't like if like why should we like for example like if I find out like someone in my server like CPCA was in my server like a couple days ago and he started like spurg posting about like Aiden or it was like weird fucking posts about like Aiden and shit. He was going on like rambles in my stream, and I just eventually was like, okay, this guy's like this is like a weirdo.
Well,
and I'm gonna get rid of
I have an answer to that.
Okay,
Marcus, actually,
CPCA, as far as we know, is actually over 18, right?
No, that's no. To be
we don't know. We don't know.
It's unclear. But to be fair, there's a difference between something being unclear and someone actively going up to the way and saying they're underage.
I'm pretty sure.
I do want to respond, Marcus.
I don't buy this.
He's told everyone he's over 18. I only banned him because he lied about every other aspect of his personal life. So unless I saw like some idea.
He's Somalian. He's Somalian.
Yeah, well,
I don't want to respond, Marcus. So it's what you said, right?
Parrot, you need to shut the fuck up sometimes. Unless I saw some sort of idea, I wasn't even gonna risk it. If he's lied about everything else, I've just assumed he's lying about his age.
Okay, well, either way, CPCA has not said he's underage or anything like that, and he's just like some fucking retarded troll. Like the idea that it's a problem to having your server, or even Spinal. Like Spinal, what has he really done? He fucking retweets Lolly on Twitter and cut slots. Like, who gives a fuck? There's a million people like that online.
There's a difference between that and like underage people, right? Where you could argue is a risk.
People are
versus
underage.
just
I don't think
losers.
I don't think it's a smart idea to keep a guy like that in your server either way. I don't think you should have people like that.
Certain types of interactions that people can have with that person that would be totally fine for anyone else to have, but when they have them with that person, they're illegal interactions. Like, that's a whole different thing, obviously. Spinal can engage with any topic and be totally above board legally. You can't with minors.
That's true.
Well, I mean, yeah. I'm just saying, like, if we're setting this precedent, though, with like,
we're saying what precedent? The precedent of don't allow kids in your server. What precedent is being set?
Then we should probably keep these. I'm saying, like, then we should probably keep people who we think like for example, he's into like fucking lolicon shit. He streams like lolicon shit all the time. He's like into cuts like guy's like a degenerate.
Stream lolicon shit. That's not true.
The potential, but the liabilities, even if that was true, like the potential liability of entertaining his presence in a server isn't the same as the liability of entertaining a minor's presence.
Oh no,
in a server.
I know, but I feel like we should just keep rabid individuals.
Who is at risk in the server? Who is at risk in no? What are you talking about? Who is at risk in the server because of Spinal?
Probably nobody, I guess. If there's nobody in there.
Who is at risk in a server if a minor is there?
The minor.
Yeah, well, I mean, and to be honest, adults too. because
Yeah, I
they
already
could,
made this point.
knowingly break the law or whatever.
Skinwalk.
You didn't make it well enough, Aiden.
And you're also like exactly. Also, everybody else is at risk because they don't know, or they might not know, that they're fucking dealing with minors because they're not clear what your policy is, or maybe they are clear, but they just don't know who's a minor because you don't have a role built out for that in Discord or whatever. It's just too fucking messy. Like, why is this guy? And I don't understand why he's so aloof about this.
Yeah, and you made the point terribly, probably. I didn't hear it, but you made
Said it the exact same way. Okay.
Either way. There's someone at risk. There's someone at risk with Spinal. You're just like, you just say, oh well, you think one thing is bad, so everything's bad. It's like, no, that's not how that works at all.
Yeah, it's.
I'm sorry, I was grabbing water. What?
Okay, no one is at risk from Spinal being in the server. Someone is at risk when a minor is in the server.
Yeah.
These aren't the same thing.
Okay. Yeah.
So why are you saying?
Why are you comparing them?
Both of them? Yeah. Why are you saying?
I don't know. I think personally, I just think we should probably like try to keep like genuine degens out of servers as well.
To be clear, I don't have Spinal in my server. To just be clear, I don't have Spinal in my server because he was doing some weird.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. I feel like
BDSM roleplay like in public. No, it's because he was doing BDSM roleplay in the general chat. So that's why I banned him. But I wouldn't ban someone just for being weird. I don't know why you would ban someone just for being weird.
The majority of commentary is weird.
I think Spinal is not just weird. You ban him for like a valid.
You think he's a threat?
I think he's right.
That's why it comes off as you think he's dangerous.
What criteria is Spinal fulfilling that means we would have to ban him if we were also banning minors?
Well, I think if he's doing like weird shit in other people's server, I think it's just like it's kind of like with the whole like.
Okay, so you're saying weird again. You said it's not just that he's weird, but you just said weird again. So without saying weird,
he's doing.
Give me the reason.
If he's doing like role play in your server, if he's doing like weird, not weird. Sorry, if he's doing like BDSM, what is it again? BDSM role play in your server. I think it's kind of like the 18, making our servers 18 plus. It's a safe bet just to keep this guy out of our servers. If he's getting banned out of multiple servers.
Nobody's at risk though.
What is the problem with doing that? What is the inherent problem with doing BDSM roleplay in the Discord server?
Fucking. Why are people so weird?
I guess I don't know.
Okay.
This is one of the reasons. I mean, like, there's a lot of like baggage that you carry from working in the adult industry for a long time, but one thing that I will appreciate it having had an effect on me specifically with is ensuring that my future in terms of at least like my sex life or anything is just completely fucking vanilla. Why are people so fucking weird, bro? Like, why do you have to do this shit on Discord? Why are you letting people fucking post cunny or whatever this shit is? Why would you?
Do you think there's an inherent problem with having a minor in an adult space Discord server?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
How?
Probably.
Again,
Probably.
Why does this
Yeah.
take banning one?
Maybe. Or...
Yeah. So why do you keep saying that we have to ban both? You can see there's obvious points that make these totally disanalogous.
I just think you shouldn't have. I don't know.
Weird
I just think
people.
you shouldn't have like these degenerate people in servers. I don't know.
What are you
in
saying? When you say
communities.
degenerate? What does that mean?
Like he's into like cut sluts and he like what is it?
Okay, why is it bad to be
reposts
into
posts
cut
with
slots?
Ollie, like,
Why is it bad to have someone who's into cut slots in your server?
I don't know. Nothing, I guess. So I can't really think of anything on the top of my head that makes it wrong, unless he's like engaging in it with people in the server who don't want to like engage with it with him. But as long as he's not doing that in the server, I guess, like you said, you're kind of right there. Like, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Yeah, so the two things are like totally unrelated, and one is just like the problem is like the scenario you're talking about might be like a personal preference based on like the kind of vibe you want to have in your server. The
community
case,
you want.
Yeah, the case of allowing
Yeah.
minors would be just like opening yourself to legal liabilities and potential harm versus not.
Okay.
Yeah. Are there any other minors in your server besides these two?
From my knowledge, that's the only two I know. I only know about Jewel and Hater. I think there's one dude named BXKS or something. I never let him in my server to begin with, but
Guy's a minor.
I don't think he's above the
BXKS
age
is
of
a
18.
minor?
No, that guy's not a minor.
Yeah,
That
he's
guy's
not
like
a
a
minor.
random
I think I've had him call on. He sounds like an adult.
Oh, he's not a minor?
I think he's like in his 30s or something, isn't he?
I assumed I thought he was, because the way he talked in my like chat seemed very like he was like 13 or something, and I was like, I'm not gonna like let this guy on. He was like talking like, I don't know what Discord is, like in my server, and I was
Yeah,
like, I
he's
don't think this.
trolling
Oh, okay.
So when Jewel
But-
first said he was a minor and you're like general, like you didn't think much of it?
No, not really. I guess, you know, thinking about it in hindsight, I probably should have looked into it a little bit more than just being like, oh, I don't really care. Like, I'll admit, yeah, I probably should have looked into it a lot more.
Got it. Well, hey, I mean, lessons learned. Are you public by your age, by the way?
I'm 22.
22, got it. Wait, hold on. Another one has hit the towers. Wait.
Oh, is there another one?
There's another one. Wait, how many minors
Is-
are in the server, bro?
I don't know. I only know about Hater. Hater was the only one I knew about at the.
Well, and you facilitated it, and you see how maybe you having this odd atmosphere where, oh, you know, they're 16, but who cares? Encourages people to not
These other
only be
people aren't,
minors
like,
in your
open
server,
about it. These
but
other
like
people
be
aren't,
open
like,
about
open
it.
about
The two we've brought up are open about it in your chat, and then Hater, everybody knows Hater's 16 because Hater talks about it in everyone's
well,
chat.
no, I know about Hater. I'm saying Hater's like the only one that we as a community, we obviously know like Hater is like a minor.
Well, we know these.
Jewel, I learned about.
He explicitly.
Jewel.
He told you he was a minor on the 17th.
Well, no, yeah, I knew Jewel was when he said like the minor in chat thing. I didn't think much of that. I'm saying like, is there somebody else? Like, who's the other
Hazel,
person?
a bug.
Oh, Hazelbug. See, I didn't know that. I've never asked Hazelbug their like age or anything. I don't know.
She's announcing her age in what I believe to be your chat.
Are they?
Yep. So we're not gonna find a fourth, right?
I hope. I hope not. I don't think so. No.
Got it.
Well, Marcus, do you realize that like by having people like Hater around who are like openly 16, you're kind of you're encouraging minors to be like, oh, okay, so it's alright if I'm like underage and in this server, right? It's like that's like kind of what's happening, is that they're like saying that and going, oh, I must be okay. Do you realize that, Marcus?
I don't know if that's as strong of an argument.
I don't really.
I'm just curious if. All right, well, if you disagree, you disagree. But I just think that you know, it's like you're enabling those kind of people to be okay with doing your
I
server.
mean, I'm not like
and feel good
actively.
about
I'm not like
identifying that way.
actively saying like I've never like went in and said like, hey, minors, like join my server. Is that what you're saying? I don't know.
Well, you don't have to. It's just the idea that's like everywhere else, right?
Yeah,
People
you don't
usually
have
go,
to.
oh, no, it needs to be over 18. But in your server, you have.
You don't have to say it. It's implied because you're fucking complacent.
somebody like Hater who's saying, yeah, you know, I'm underage, I'm underage. He has like a meme in the community, and then it's like other people who are underage are going to feel more comfortable joining your server and being public about the fact that they're underage. And even if there are underage people in your server, the fact that they're more public about it can be in its own way an issue, because it enables bad actors to engage.
You're just saying like having minors in the server, like multiple, creates this environment where they think it's okay for more to be in it.
It's obviously a policy in your server that minors are allowed. That's just obviously the case.
Because they're saying it in chat openly. And I even made a joke. I even brought up to you. Like I was being joking with this comment, but I'm like, you have a 16-year-old as like mod of your YouTube chat. I don't think that's as big of a deal, because YouTube chat, you can't DM people through that, and you can monitor all interactions. But Discord's a whole nother story. You have people advertising their minors in your chat, and if, let's say, there is a pedophile in your server, they now have a catalog they can fucking go through of people to DM.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm gonna be honest. Like I am conceding. Like you guys are right. Like I've obviously moderate it better, change it 18 plus.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna like fight it. Like it's not like something I want to fight. I'm not gonna act like this is
since you got rid of Spinal from your server, Marcus, would you get rid of Mrao? Would you get rid of Mrao? I mean, he's kind of like a weird freak, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I can get rid of him for you if you want.
No, it's not. Yeah, I guess you have to definitively say you will, because he's a weird freak and he's engaging in weird behavior.
All right, is there anything else?
I don't know. I just wanted to get on call to talk to you. I like, unironically, I don't really care if I like lost. I liked being able to talk to you about it. I think you guys
I'm not trying to win. I'm not trying to like win.
No. I know. I wanted to do this call because I feel like people are gonna think like, oh, Marcus, why'd you do this fucking call? You look dumb. Like, I get that. Like, I want to fucking learn. I don't know. I want to learn to be like better, especially with my server.
What is there to learn, dude? You sound like a fucking moron.
And whatnot. And if it means like I have to like,
you should already know this shit if you're starting a fucking Discord server. This is not your first fucking rodeo, I'm sure.
You should make this 18 plus. You know,
especially if you exist in this fucking drama community, because more than half the drama is about this shit anyway. You've probably made a fuck ton of videos about, oh, there's a fucking pedo in somebody's Discord server. Let's fucking talk about it for an hour. You probably have videos on that kind of shit. And now it's like, now the tables have turned.
You need to moderate this a little bit better than I mean, I should. Like, that's, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks guys for coming on. Take care.
Wow. All right, catch you later.
See ya. I only kicked Parry out because he was gonna go on a whole. I love Parry, but he was just gonna go on a whole nother like Adderall fueled dialogue, that led to nothing. I am like planning on wrapping it up right now. But let me just. Parry was able to cook. It was gonna be. He can talk to Marcus on his stream.
Who's this Marcus guy? Yeah, whatever. We'll look it up. I don't know. There's probably a million Marcuses out there. All right, that was fun. What was another thing? Oh, FD Signifier. Yeah.
I don't know if you can hear us. Can see you.
Yes, test.
There you go. Do I have to bring up your little video?
Nah. Oh, I mean, it's up to you. I prefer now. I want to be anonymous like you, Sitch.
Listen, that's smart. Okay.
Hold on 1 second.
I don't know if it's smart. I think people like to see people's faces. I think me being anonymous is a mistake.
I don't want people to see my face when this is whenever you all post this. I don't want to.
Well, it's posting now. I mean, it's live.
I want to get too much scrutiny from the left for associating with
Nazis.
Undesirables.
Right.
So, but although this thumbnail though is already like it caught my attention.
Listen, it could have been worse. Okay, I had the temper at him. All right, he was.
Did you? Why? Over like this was the least. I don't know. I mean, I have you know, I don't dabble in air quotes centrist. You know what? You have to put me on because I have to. I need people to see me when I say air quotes. And I put
There you go. There you go. So.
When I dabble in certain spaces that are not necessarily, I don't know what the word is, approved by my particular bubble.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot where I was going with.
What do you mean? You argue with the person who's taken the enlightened centrist title from us?
Yeah. Well, because you know what, Young, I actually believe Young.
Oh, okay.
I don't know about you. I don't know about you guys. I watch you guys.
It's all a ploy here. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys don't actually seem like centrists.
Okay.
We don't call ourselves centrists anymore. So, well, Sitch might, but I call myself an independent just because centrist is. People think centrist means neutral, and I mean I'm not really neutral. So.
Yeah, I noticed. I noticed. I mean, it doesn't take much to look at like your channel's thumbnails and kind of see where you all spend most of your time.
That's hilarious.
So, you know.
We had a deep discussion over the thumbnail, Sitch and I, so.
If we hated Israel more, would we actually be centrist then, like Young? Like we just like really came hard against Israel? Is that like the trick?
You would have to. So let's look at. I'm gonna scroll through.
Okay,
I'm on your channel now.
We're doing the thumbnails, right?
All right. So we got me. FD Signifier really hates white people. So they're starting there. So we're already starting off.
That's a
look,
high point.
It worked. I totally.
It did.
Look,
it did
the
work.
bait. You're here. You're literally sitting right here
home.
on the channel. I don't know. You have 1 million subs, and you're talking to us right now.
Yeah,
so.
I was coming home from a leisurely Sunday, and I look, and this pops up, and I'm like, what?
Are you subscribed?
No. But
well, how did it pop up then?
My algorithm sends me a lot of random stuff, and it tends to send me stuff that has me in it.
Listen, if you have a Google alert for your own name, I won't judge you. Okay.
No, I don't. I should, but I don't. I do. No, this is not to say I don't like look for critiques. I love when critiques come from the right for the most part. It's a big ego boost. It's pretty entertaining. But I always look for critiques because I feel like that's how I make myself better, you know?
Sure.
But back to the point, we got, aside from Trump, who you have multiple times, I guess we got Temple on here. Yeah, going down your channel, aside from Trump, you don't talk about anybody on the right much at all. ASMONGOLD, maybe 5 months ago. You got 55 thumbnails.
Yeah, but I mean, isn't Trump like, he's like the person to talk about on the right, isn't? Who else do we talk about?
So even still, right? So we have the president of the United States. Oh, here's Jordan Peterson. Okay, we got one Jordan Peterson. We have, you have a vaguely racist picture of my friend Shan Spear, where her face is completely AI'd into a weird scowl.
I didn't remember that one.
Yeah. You know, we got Noah here, you know, so it's like, I mean, I'm not going to tell you how to run your channel, right? But even the amount of times, I'm sure these Trump videos get more views than talking about Hassan, don't they? Do they? Let me look. Let's see. Maybe I'm wrong.
Hell no. What are you kidding? The Trump supporters hate it when we talk about Trump because we're not glowing enough about Trump. Everyone always gets mad at us.
Oh man, was surprise. And I'm sure all of Hassan's people come to your chat to talk about how much they hate when you talk about Hassan.
There's a handful of them. Come on.
Yeah.
Get mad.
I mean, we're not really trying to be activists or anything like that. So, I mean, we're talking about politics. We're trying to learn about the world. We're having fun. So,
you guys are having fun. The whole point was that the centrist title probably does belong more with Young, who, if you give him credit, you know, I still have my concerns and suspicions about Young. We actually do talk.
Yo, what's up, Tiger Girl? How you doing? I was actually talking about you not too long ago. I was reliving the days of the age gap conversation we had with fucking PPG, where he wanted to like up the age of consent to 25, and everybody was like, "You're a fucking moron." And you were there for that, right? I think it was like, I think you were there. Ophelia was there. Like me, you, Salty, Tiger, or Turbo. Yeah, welcome in.
Suspicious.
But to give him credit, his content does.
He's a moron for sure. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, exactly. I haven't talked to him in, I don't even remember how long. He's a fucking idiot. But I'm just doing kind of like a quiet, casual React session here. I'm actually working on this other monitor for stuff I need to get ahead of for tomorrow morning, so kind of just chilling.
Tend to actually reflect what I would consider a actual centrist, an independent standpoint, whereas you all seem more center right to me. Yeah, so
okay,
which is fine, to each their own. If I was so disgusted and appalled, I wouldn't show up.
Right.
There's people I've seen you all have on that I would never share space with, and vice versa. I'm sure.
Not Wick, right? You like Wick? Oh, maybe you don't like Wick. Oh my god,
Wick's not bad. I don't hate Wick. Wick is so like I have this thing where my thing is if a person.
Damn, we're getting the band back together tonight. Holy shit. Welcome in.
Politics are the extent of how bad things could be. What does that mean? Right? So I start with Joe Rogan. If Joe Rogan's politics were the worst anyone's politics could be in the country, I think the country would be in a much better place because although Joe Rogan's politics are bad, they could be there's much worse that you could do, right?
Right.
So Wick is kind of like that for liberals, in my opinion.
Okay.
He
what
has
about me? How bad would the country be?
I don't pay enough attention, but since you seem to be over there with Rogan, maybe a little further right to Rogan, I don't know.
Really?
I haven't examined you all enough. I just know the vibes.
That's fine. Listen, I've been very critical of Rogan recently.
Yep.
Oh, that's nice.
I didn't like his
Join the Discord? Yeah. What's the link? You can't drop it in the chat there, but hold on one second. Let me see. I mean, I will say I'm not intensely active on Discord, but always happy to join. I used to be, I guess, like back when we were doing, debates with Boss and having our late night sessions with Turbo. I was definitely a lot more active on Discord, but let's see. Are you in? There you are. Cool. I just sent you a friend request on there. It's usually because you don't share a server with the recipient. Okay. Well, I just sent you a friend request. So if you want, just drop the link in that DM. It'll be good to go.
Interview with Bernie.
I'd have to go back and look. I haven't paid. I've been in my own bubble, of course.
Okay, so but you have to answer my important question. Have you been watching anime this season?
I barely watch anime these days.
Oh my god, what fake fan.
I'm sorry. The part of being a wealthy, famous YouTuber is I don't watch media for fun much anymore. So like a lot of the media I see that in my editor, and everybody was like, "Yay!"
Or what are we fragile about? I guess.
I mean, FD Signifier really hates white people. And this video, this is one of the videos I would.
Do you hate white people?
No,
I mean, you
don't
could
hate
just
white
dispel right here.
No, I don't hate
Lead
white
ID,
people, and I don't say that to hide.
Why do you talk about white people?
We just went over a whole video. Some guy named Marcus, I don't know who he is, but Aiden was covering him, and it's this guy who was like letting minors in his server, and they were like sharing like ironic CP, something called Kunzies or something. I don't know what it's called. There's like some kind of word for it. And Queeman and all these other people had to come on and like explain to this guy why it's a bad idea to have, you know, a not safe for work channel or, you know, ironic CP in your Discord, and just being completely complacent about having minors in there as well. Like, this guy was not connecting the dots as to why this might be fucking bad. We just watched a whole video over that whole topic, and it brought up the whole conversation that originally I started with PPG and his server because somebody was saying that it might have been Khmer or somebody else. I don't know who it was, but somebody in PPG server was like a minor. And I talked to him directly about it, and I was like, "Is this your policy? Is this what you're doing? Like, are you just letting minors hang out in your Discord?" And he was just like, "Well, I mean, as long as they're just talking politics and they're not doing anything crazy or weird, then it should be fine." I was like, "Okay, peace out. Fuck this place. I'm out of here." You know, it's just a fucking bad idea, dude. The moment you know, I mean, Salty, you got to remember who it was they were talking about. I forget who it was exactly. This is a long time ago, obviously. But there was somebody that was either admitting they were a minor, or somebody was saying somebody else was a minor. And even if somebody was or was not a minor, it at least sparked that conversation with PPG, and he was just completely indifferent about it. He was just like, whatever, you know, I mean, as long as they're not causing any trouble, I don't care. And I was like, okay, well, that always leads to trouble. If this is the kind of place where minors hang out, then I'm fucking out of here. You know. Sent a link. Okay, I'll check it out. Yeah, and then he made accusations about you and Casey, and then he made me as exactly. Yeah, that's when I cut him off. I was like, dude, I went, you know, he did that kind of shit. Okay, I'm in there. Thank you, Tiger. You know, like, yeah. I even have a screenshot from it because Mida sent it to me of what he was saying about me and his server. And I was like, man, this is a guy who I went to bat for. Like, after everything that happened with him and Ophelia, it took me a couple weeks to get over the fact that he, like, maybe he's not as bad as I thought he would be. And then we went right back to being just fucking, you know, talking about politics and hanging out in Discord or whatever for as long as we did until the election came up, basically. And I fucking defended him, you know. I gave him a second chance. I defended him, you know. I got over my own inclinations about how I felt about everything that happened with him and Ophelia, you know. And then he goes around and just fucking does that fucking like random toxic shit in his own server, not even in a DM, like openly in his general channel. You know, I was like, fuck this guy, man. Fuck this guy. This is the worst person I've ever met on the internet. Worst, you know, I'm over 40 years old. I met a lot of people on the internet. Okay, that's the worst person I've ever met on the internet is that guy, dude. Trash human, yeah, exactly. So yeah, we watched a whole video on that. It kind of like brought me back to those days of all the fallout, basically.
And just as a category, so much.
Whiteness is a category.
I would be super suspicious if someone was going around constantly talking about black people, right? Black crime, black IQ, just talking about black people as a category.
Mm-hmm.
I would think, oh, that person probably has a bunch of racist stereotypes about black people that they're using in their daily life all the time. That's what I would think.
What would you fear about that person? Like, what would you fear about
that they would encounter somebody who's not stupid or a criminal or a crackhead, and they would think, oh, this person's a fucking crackhead criminal. Like,
no, let me rephrase. What would you fear would be the outcome if that person's sentiment gained more power and prominence? What would be the consequences? Like if we spread the philosophy of
widespread discrimination against black people, I mean, it was the norm at one time, right? Obviously, in the South, those stereotypes, people believed them. They thought they were gospel. Yeah, exactly. And the outcome was people discriminated against black people because they thought they were all dumb, criminal crackheads.
Mm-hmm. So what white discrimination do you fear now from my overt anti-white racism?
Well, I'm the stereotype. I'm saying, like, if you encounter someone that obviously cannot escape the stereotypes, the black stereotypes, would you call that person racist? Would that person qualify as a racist in your mind?
I'm sorry, say that again. I got distracted by the chat.
Put the chat away. Okay?
My bad. I've been the last times I've come here, which has been a while, I never really paid attention to the chat. And so I had a
chat while we were talking about your video. I wasn't looking at the chat much, so
a lot of just kind of they're really excited to see me. It's kind of like a bunch of puppies, you know. Everybody's wagging their tail trying to get my attention. Hey, FD, look at me. Here's something racist. Here, I said something racist too, FD. FD, what do you think about Wakanda?
Are they?
Somebody said something about Wakanda.
Wakanda, wow.
So they're obviously on their worst behavior.
And then one guy spent like a good $100 to get my attention between these super chats. He's got a crown next to his name, Ace.
Ace has talked about you before and said he thinks you're totally racist. So,
man.
Look, Ace is my biggest critic that thinks I go too soft on Trump. He's constantly yelling at me because he hates Trump. So,
yeah, I mean, every chatter group, I've done enough of these in various spaces to know that there's always some unique chatters. And so, like, in my own ADHD moment, I did not focus in on your point, and I was looking to see.
It's okay.
As I was talking, I was in the process of putting the screen back up so I could see it. But I'm gonna go back to pausing the video.
We'll go back to the point.
Yes, I'm sorry. What was
racism against black people has been a problem in the past in the United States. Some people might argue. Okay, so you agree? You think it's still a problem now?
Mm-hmm.
We probably disagree on the degree to which it's a problem. But don't you think racist stereotypes about black people are a huge weapon in that fighting racism and perpetuating racism?
I mean, racist stereotypes are a huge problem for like addressing the problems of race. Like the fact that you have to deal with stereotypes is a daily issue for black people. So yeah.
So they suck. You're saying it's horrible.
Well, stereotypes in general are bad.
Right. Okay. So look, I just, if someone obviously believes these stereotypes and uses these stereotypes against black people and is not conscious of it, or is doing it worse consciously but nefariously, like they know what they're doing. I mean, I would say that's racist, and I would call that person a racist. But it seems that a lot of people on the left, black people included.
Yeah, he's had this show. I mean, I catch it from time to time, but he's been doing this show with somebody named Adam for a while now. And I don't know how big they are, but they're certainly relevant in the poll talk space, basically.
Get a pass for doing the exact same thing with white people. They're creating racist stereotypes about white people. Even the white fragility is a racist stereotype.
So I think you're mistaking stereotyping white people. Individuals.
Whiteness. Okay, we're going to go that route. I got you. Okay.
Yes.
Well, we'll talk about blackness. Blackness is basically a criminal mindset. It's a person that can't control their impulses. That's what blackness is. Well, look, I'm starting my new theory right now. Okay. We'll talk to Nick Fuentes later. I'm sure he'll like this theory, and he'll take it up immediately. We'll share it with all the Gorpers, and it'll become all the rage.
Right. Well, that's still an important
question.
Does
academia? So because it's an academic theory. So hold on a second here.
Well, it's based in empirical research, analysis, history. Like it's based in all these things.
So if we measure the The circumference of black people's skulls, isn't that some sort of
You mean
empirical
phrenology,
data?
the completely valid
Yeah.
science?
But wait, when you say that like whiteness has been empirically proven or studied, like what does that mean? Like what is?
I mean,
what,
so the
level of whiteness are you talking? Like what aspect of whiteness are you talking
So
about?
we're talking. Well, so when I talk about whiteness, we are basing this greatly in critical theory areas, right? We're talking about whiteness as a property or a disposition. We're not even really even talking about complexion, because like I don't know, you might call, and I'm getting a little bit out of my bounds here, so feel free to gotcha me at a later date. But like in India, there's caste systems, right? That still cleave toward whiteness. In Japan, there's been whiteness. In South Korea, so the concept.
Wait, when you
is
say
not,
whiteness, do you mean just that there's a caste system, or do you mean that they prefer lighter color skin?
It's sometimes both, but yeah, it's a status and a property. Like to own, what we're talking about is to own whiteness. Like, so you have access to it. So who's the British princess or whatever? She's technically black.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. The name escapes me. Yes.
Right.
Didn't they abdicate or whatever?
They did something. I don't know this. I don't know the deal with
Pocahontas. Is that who you're talking? No.
No. The current.
So she is darn near white passing. Or better, here's one that's is pretty much white passing. Rashida Jones. Like most people don't know Rashida Jones is dad is Quincy Jones, the famous black musician. So like she doesn't get the full package, the full status, the full analysis of a white woman, but she operates within whiteness pretty significantly. I hear y'all type.
To be clear, I'm just trying to understand, like, is whiteness just a term that you're saying refers to whatever the dominant caste system in any society is?
That is one example of it. So that's how I would use it in India. Here, it means that, but it is intrinsically tied to the people who are of European descent. Right?
Don't you think it's counterproductive to name it whiteness?
Well, what else would we call it?
The dominant caste group? I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
I don't know.
The rich people, the powerful people, the elites.
I mean, sure. It seems easier to call it whiteness since like all those people you described are like predominantly white. And by not bringing out that concept, you kind of leave the important racial aspect on the, off the table, right? Well, like that's kind of important to name it. Like, so we're not just calling it whiteness, because in India, they don't have other, ethnicities for the most part. I'm sure they have like some that I don't understand, but outside of India, those are just South Asian people. Here in America, the way that hierarchy manifests is explicitly along racial and ethnic lines. So you still call it whiteness because that's what it is. And the thing I've always challenged and I'm still curious about. I'm learning. Like I'm here partially because I'm still working on my own grounded theory, much like Adam was a second ago when he was quoting Nick Fuentes. And
I wasn't actually quoting Nick Fuentes. I was just saying,
evoking his spirit.
I would say he would take to these stereotypes about black people pretty readily. I think you agree with that, though, right? You think Nick Fuentes is a racist, right?
Yeah, but let me finish my point. I'm still also trying to make sense of whiteness as a concept from y'all's perspective. Because why do you think it's not important to like name it whiteness when whiteness is clearly, when the being perceived as white is clearly such an important factor?
It's the same reason that Adam was invoking.
Yeah, exactly.
Like there is some, we could take a collection of antisocial traits that exist among criminals or, lower income populations in America. And we could say, oh, we're going to call it blackness, right? And then if someone says, well, that sounds racist, I could say, well, listen, I mean, I'm not saying that all black people have these traits, but there's a disproportionate number of black people in that category. So therefore I'm assigning it the name blackness. To me, it doesn't seem like it would be I mean, it seems super racist, and it doesn't seem like it really would be effective at communicating the idea, except to people that want to promote racist stereotypes.
It would be super effective at promoting racist stereotypes, though, Sitch. Very
effective at like actually making society better.
Right, but so it's a couple of things. One, that already happens. Like, let's be clear.
Of course.
That is not like a hypothetical. That's a real thing.
But academia is not signing off on it.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, academia is not.
That's the biggest difference right there. But academia once did sign off on it. That's why I brought up the phrenology, obviously.
Right. And so
you wouldn't accept phrenology as not racist just because academia signed off on it, correct?
Why does academia no longer sign off on it, though?
Because it's untrue.
Yeah. Well, it's not just true, but also academia has become very left-wing oriented anyway.
But what was their, like, what result are they trying to avoid is a point I'm getting at. Like,
racist stereotypes.
It's not, but what do stereotypes produce for everyone except white people? If I Adam, all right. So here's why I have this opinion. If I made a video talking about how racist you guys are, that would be literally the only thing I could ever do to hurt you for the most part. And only because I've amassed a large following, right? If you see me on the street and tell the police I look suspicious, you know what I'm saying? But
you're making my point about the racist stereotypes. People are more likely to do that on the street because of racist stereotypes.
Right. What I'm trying to say is the stereotypes that you all are afraid of mostly mean nothing. They don't, like, you don't fear being seen as a racist the same way I fear whether or not I make a police officer nervous.
Yeah, but
you just said the only way that you could hurt us is to go on your YouTube channel and accuse us of racism.
It's literally the only way.
Which is more likely to happen.
Wait.
Which is more likely to happen? Me to get profiled by police officers, or you to get,
or do you to go to for someone on the left to go on their YouTube channel and call us racist? I mean, I bet it's happened to us far more than you've been racially profiled.
And how is that hurt y'all?
It's
lowered
who
our
knows
viewership.
how.
It's definitely prevented people from the left from engaging in our stuff.
Probably cost us money, fans, viewership.
Oh man, that sounds tough.
I know, it's very tough.
Well, how many nights have you spent in jail from being racially profiled?
None, thankfully.
So it hasn't affected you at all. It's just fear.
Oh no, no. I haven't been to.
Have you ever seen this guy before? FD Signifier. He's like a I don't know if you would call him BreadTube, but he's definitely in the commentary kind of community, and all of his videos are. I mean, I'll just give you
jail.
I've seen him, don't know who he is. Yeah, it's just this guy, FD Signifier. I mean, you can get a flavor of some of his videos here. What's really happening in LA? Blah 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 blah. I mean, he's got a lot of videos on like race, a lot. Work in progress intro for Black Cops video. Understanding the Black Gender Wars. Kanye was never good. The WWE's complex Black history. He does a lot of other stuff too. He's got videos about incels and like the election and things like that. But for the most part, I would say like he is just he is leftist, like anti-capitalist, very, just take all that into a pot and stir it up, and we've met a million people like him probably. Why the justice system is broken. There's no such thing as a black conservative. That's the kind of flavor of videos he makes. Grifting on the whiners, yeah. He admitted that he's informed by critical theory. Yeah, exactly. He does a lot of that. Yeah, he's a theory guy for sure. But yeah, I mean that's a lot of his channels like this basically. So that's just to give you some context of he's got 1 million subscribers on YouTube. So pretty relevant. He definitely makes the rounds in terms of people talking about his content and things like that. So I don't know why they're talking to him right now specifically about this, but I think Sitch and Adam may have made a video about him, and that's why they're talking. I feel like everyone's a grifter these days. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
very true.
Okay.
But even me in
this has cost us money.
Oh man, that is. Is this y'all's job? Do y'all do this day job? Is this y'all
Not really.
full time?
This is like a part-time gig. So.
All right. So yes, I'm sorry your part-time gig got thrown off because some lefties, probably with as many or less subscribers than you, looked at this vaguely racist thumbnail of my friend Sean Spear and said, "I don't know about those guys."
Well, we usually cover people that are like you with larger YouTubes than us,
who are in fact racist, and I would
like,
qualify her as definitely racist. So
I mean, you seem to have a low bar,
but but it seems like your whole argument is essentially, well, it's okay for me or for academia to kind of use something that seems pretty racist just because I don't think that racism against white people will manifest in society in some physical way. So it's okay.
So no. So that's just me pointing out the kind of absurdity of us even talking about this like on an equal playing field.
Well, it's not. And we can go into that, but I'm just saying that to me, that's a weak argument.
Well, I don't
think it's true.
Yeah, that's not my argument though. My argument is not that, so it's funny. I talked with Young about this a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a month ago now. We had a similar conversation. It's not just that it doesn't affect you all, right? It's also that it's kind of an apples and oranges thing, and that's kind of the key issue is that and this is one of the reasons why the concept of racism has been removed from, like, when we talk about, air quotes, anti-white racism, most academics, critical race theorists, and people within sociological, psychological fields would say, we're not really talking about racism, we're talking about bigotry, we're talking about prejudice. And that's because, I'm sure you all say it with me, for racism to be real, it has to be included with power.
P equals R, yeah.
Yeah, it has to. So, and there's a reason why that is a thing, is because historically, when people try to have conversations about race and put, whiteness on the same playing field as everyone else in a country where white people have the majority of power, it ends up not actually producing anything of significant for non-white people. It ends up kind of starting things at a point where, we've already conceded every major issue, because it's like, well, it's the colorblind racism conversation,
Right. So, well, two things. Number one, you should actually look into, I don't know if you've looked into sort of the origin of when P plus P equals R, that concept became popular, because it was really popularized in response to conservatives calling affirmative action policies racist. It was really a kind of a, not really like this is an important academic thought. It's really more like a propaganda tool. Like, we don't want people on the right to be able to call all our policies racist, so we're going to redefine the term racism. That's really how that took off.
I mean, but it's still, so I don't know much about that particular nugget of information, but that sounds like it makes sense. Like, that's exactly, first off, I want to be clear, because you said this earlier, and I don't know if y'all caught this. I'm not a fan of identity politics for the most part. I find identity politics. You caught what I was giving out there when I pointed out that Obama essentially exacerbated the flaws of identity politics to a point where it broke people's brains, for lack of a better way of putting it. So I want to first put that out there. But the affirmative action conversation is exactly what I'm talking about. So affirmative action, which never worked for Black people. I'm sure you all know this, right? That the number one beneficiaries of affirmative action were white women. Yes. That the average DEI workshop person looked like Robin DiAngelo, right? So that's number one. That's important to understand, is that affirmative action never worked. However, in concept, the whole point of affirmative action was to recognize that the institutions and systems of power were always going to maintain the status quo as they existed, that Black people had, been pulling themselves up by the bootstraps, et cetera, or the ones that did, and they were getting into positions where they should be getting access to resources, should be getting access to jobs and education, et cetera, and they were being denied that access facing barriers in other ways. And so the whole point of affirmative action was to say, hey, why don't we create a system where these folks who have proved themselves, worthy or whatever, can get access? And the response to that was reverse racism, because they're operating off the idea that the way things are inherently were normal and fair, and that there was no reason to correct them based on past historical prejudices, discrimination, et cetera, et cetera.
I don't think that was the argument. The argument was that, in the 60s, this idea of like, don't judge people by their skin color was basically the prominent idea that was foisted by the left onto, some people who are racist, especially people who are racist on the right. And then they're like, oh, but with affirmative action, you're using skin color as the criteria, so therefore you're being a hypocrite. That was the way people were arguing.
But the point of it was still.
I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying that was their argument. It was.
Hold on for a second. Stay there. What's up? Oh no, I'm fine. Thank you. Close the door. So yeah, it's apples and oranges in terms of like the semantics of the argument. It's still.
Well, I don't think it's semantic. It's people. If people are going to believe something, they want to feel like that there's some sort of even set of rules that everyone's following. They want to believe that there's, different criteria to set. And this was part of the argument against treating Black people and other people like second-class citizens, was to say it's unfair that there's different criteria for different people.
But there's not, and we all know this. So yeah, they could have been honest about it and said, look, the racist white systems of this country will never allow Black people to get a fair shot in education, corporate America, whatever. So we're going to purposefully change the frameworks to allow more access to these Black people. They could have said that. Would that have passed? Would that have gotten any type of support from even the left at the time? No, they went with this identity politics based, soft language for a reason, because they knew that was the only way they could get it to get across. And what that does, as I kind of am arguing, is it leaves open these types of arguments. It leaves these arguments open to say, well, this just sounds like discrimination, and isn't discrimination bad? And it's like, yeah, discrimination is bad until I do it.
Yeah, but it's
until it serves a purpose.
It kind of leads into what we were talking about with the whiteness thing and how this would manifest. Because even if I were to argue or to believe, which I don't, I'm just going to do this hypothetically, even if I were to believe that all the anti-white racism in the world would have zero impact whatsoever on, creating some kind of system in America where white people are discriminated against, even if I were to accept that, it still seems to me fairly obvious that all of the what we call woke shit and all the identity politics and all the anti-white racism that's been kind of mainstreamed or mainlined in the country for the last 8 years is directly leading to the Groyper movement and sort of this rebound effect by the white nationalist. So it seems it's completely against the self-interest of anti-racists to be promoting this stuff.
I disagree with that. But before I get into that, I just need to understand, are you afraid of anti-white racism? You personally are afraid of that? And that's based on what?
It's based on that I think there's two outcomes. I think the outcome is we could continue down a pathway where America basically devolves into some sort of weird socialist style identity politics country, which I think would end if we did continue down
socialism.
The pathway,
shouldn't have much to do with identity politics, but that's,
well, no, the
we
current
failed.
Well, I mean, CRT is rooted in a socialist framework.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. So I shouldn't even have bothered getting into that.
Right.
Go ahead.
But you know what I mean when I say
I know what you mean. Yes.
Right. I think it's very possible that the country, if it were to continue on that pathway unchecked, I think it would devolve into some sort of weird far left country where it would devolve into a civil war and things would break apart. That's one direction. Or the other direction is it has the pendulum swing back, and the white ethno-nationalist gain a lot more prominence, and here we go again.
So my question was more about you, Sitch. Like, Sitch, when you leave your house tomorrow morning to go do a thing, are you afraid of anti-white racism? Are you afraid of white racial stereotypes? And
Where I live, no, I don't.
All right. There's no place in this country.
That's not true. What do you mean?
There's no place in this country where I can live. Not you. You might, if you move to some neighborhoods I maybe lived in once upon a time.
Right.
You could, if you want to be a rapper and you weren't as good looking as, I don't know, what's the guy's name? Jack Harlow. Then maybe you might encounter some discrimination at some point if you weren't the right type of white rapper. But there's pretty much no environment where I have your situation. And that is a major key here. Like, we can't speak about anti-white racism in the same breath as actual racism if you're talking about, I don't want people to think I'm a Nazi at the grocery store and I get nervous when I see the police. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, first of all, if I was as white walking around in some non-white areas, yes, I could very easily be discriminated against 100%. And I've heard there's lots of white people who grew up in non-white areas, who went to non-white schools, who were viciously
I will give
bullied.
you that definitely does happen. There's a lot of bullying that happens to white people when they enter all black spaces. There's also other things that happen. It's a weird actual synergy about tokenization, but the results of it are different. But yes, that is true. But that's also like, one, that's pretty rare. Two,
what's up, Grant? Should young people get reparations? Should LGBT people get reparations? They deserve it more than someone who happens to have a slave ancestor. Ooh, that is a hot take, Grant. I'm gonna let the chat. I'll let the chat wrestle with that one. I'm working tonight, so
there's no impetus. There's no incentive other than wanting to be, again, a white rapper or like a hip hop dance or whatever. There's no incentive for the average white person to pursue being in an all black space, right? Whereas if I want access to better amenities, better grocery stores, better this, that, and the third, I need to find the most comfortable white space. That is the best way for me to do that. So again, it's like comparing these two on the same playing field. It just doesn't work.
It's not a question of comparing these things on the same playing field. I think obviously racism against black people, historically especially, if we include that, is obviously far outweighed racism against white people in America. It's not a question of that. It's a question of, if we actually want things to get better in the future, what do you have to do to materialize that future? And to me, it seems very obvious that kind of the sort of heavy focus on identity politics and the sort of casting white people as racist, and then when they complain about it, saying, well, you don't get to complain about it because you don't get to experience it the way that black people do, all to me is doing is it's just going to make it so much harder to have a future where things are better and people aren't actually racist.
So, okay, hey, let's meet halfway here, right? Look at this. This is amazing. I'm getting goosebumps.
Making progress.
We both, I think, agree that identity politics are cooked, and that the way identity politics have been weaponized and utilized, including affirmative action in the 60s, right, are not good and mostly end up being used to put a handful of minority status people in power, become this like, political football to pass around right-wing spaces to show examples of anti-white racism, et cetera, to allow what Barack Obama did to be something that is still championed and greatly supported by liberals and black liberals alike. So there's a lot of problems with identity politics.
What's up, Urban?
And the way that people have, like, the thing I was about to start a tangent on with you that was a mistake in the moment just because it was derailing the conversation, is that one of the big problems of the left, air quotes left, online, is that it is too identity politics based to the point where people are mistaking actual leftist theory and ideology for minority representation and gender representation, etc. And what that really is now a black president gets to drop bombs on Gaza. You know what I'm saying? And so that actually isn't good for the movement I believe in. And so the thing, though, where we end up fighting is that we don't, even if you weren't like a socialist, even if you weren't, which clearly you are, otherwise I wouldn't be here and the chat wouldn't be being so nice to me.
Right, right.
Even if you weren't a hardcore socialist, if you are still of the mind that anti-black racism and anti-white racism should in any way be discussed on the same playing field, then there's like, we haven't gotten past the first step yet, right? Like we can get away from the nonsensical identity politics, the Robin DiAngelo of it all, the DEI workshops, and all this captured capitalist neoliberal nonsense. We can have synergy on that, but we do need to get to the bottom of the ways in which whiteness moves and the ways in which whiteness, like, because the thing that I'm trying to like ground here is that when we talk about white people being racist, I'm not talking about a sense of hatred or animosity towards black people that is even conscious 90% of the time. I'm talking about how whiteness kind of move. Like when there's a study, I invite you to maybe bring it up one day if you have time, because I know you're a researcher. I wish I could find it. You know, I'm just gonna Google it right now because I know I'm sure it'll pop up.
Hey, FD, why is the equality of the playing field as you lay it out? Why is that relevant?
Why is equality of the playing field relevant in terms of like what? Like going back to the affirmative action?
Even if I give it to you, if I say, look, the black stereotypes are 10 times worse. The white people are carrying around a bazooka and you've got a pocket knife, okay? The stereotypes against the white people don't do as much damage. Why is that relevant? And we're talking about, hey, let's put our weapons away. Like, so maybe we shouldn't.
Well, because I think you all don't even realize you're holding weapons. Does that make sense?
How can you even say that when I'm clearly articulating the problem to you? Sitch is laying out the problem. You admit that the black stereotypes are a problem.
So the New Deal is a perfect example, right? And everything that's happened with, welfare state, whatever, since around that time.
Here we go. We're about to hear a fucking PPG take right now. He's talking about the New Deal. You know you're going to go into this kind of shit.
When the New Deal first happened, a lot of like New Deal stuff, the GI Bill, unemployment, and something else. There was a bunch of things in the New Deal that were written in ways explicitly to exclude black people. That was they didn't put it on paper. Again, you all don't know you're holding weapons.
Well, look, we're talking about something different here, though. I'm only talking explicitly about stereotypes.
Yeah, I'm saying this to make a point. White people don't really understand what racism is and how it works. So that if we both agree,
again,
let me finish.
You're making a stereotype of white people. So, but anyway,
it's based in history. I was about to name you the history.
Sure, but some white people obviously understand this, and some white people.
Some white people understand this, and some white people don't.
So
you all call them
that's like
soy boys and lip cucks, though.
Right. Okay.
And then they turned it into kneeling in the Capitol building in kente cloth, and everybody claps, and we're all like, "What the fuck is going on?" Because nothing has actually happened. The thing I'm getting at is that white people don't understand what racism is and how it works. The average white person thinks racism is, and this is me stereotyping, of course.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing I'm trying to avoid.
Let me say the white person I perceive in my mind who has a problem with racism and doesn't understand it. So not all white people believes that racism is an issue of hatred and an issue of bigotry and an issue of individual decisions and morality. that is where we've established racism as a problem in this country.
Are you talking about unintentional racism? Is that where you're going?
Structural racism, institutional racism.
I'm talking about structural and institutional racism.
Okay, look, you're making my argument though. Aren't stereotypes the biggest problem in unintentional racism? What is a bigger problem than stereotypes?
The structures, because it doesn't require a stereotype. It's just the structure.
Okay.
The system
Lay it out.
itself.
What's the structure?
All right. So I used to live in a different part of town. And the first thing I noticed when I moved to a nicer part of town is that I didn't see police so much. And the part of town I was in wasn't that much more like, I didn't have that many more issues with crime or break-ins. And, it was not like a horrible, area, but it did have more Black people. And every day when I left my house, I would see probably 3 police cars before I got out of my neighborhood. They were always there. That is a structural, like that. There's so many, that is not a benign factor of like urban and community planning or existing in that community. And I get over here where I'm at now, which is probably like more representative of the country. There's like a nice amount of Black people, but it's way more white. The houses are more expensive. And I don't see police at all. There's still crime happening over here. There's still people doing drugs in their homes. There's still people smoking weed outside without weed permits or whatever they are, licenses, whatever. But the police aren't policing it. And that's just one example. So nobody in that situation is getting called the N-word. And
that's structural racism.
That's an example
the amount of
it.
policing that goes on in certain areas.
I don't think you can assume that the reason the police were in one part of the neighborhood was simply because they're like, well, these are where the Black people are.
That's literally called targeted policing. It's literally a thing that exists across the country and has for a while.
It existed, but generally now police, if we believe that police are operating or on the idea that they have budgets and they want to make the best of those budgets, are operating and they're saying, okay, where is the crime? Where's the resources that we need to put our officers? And that's where they place their officers.
There's been plenty of studies that show that crime is happening everywhere. It's just different crimes get policed.
Yeah, because it's different crimes can have different outcomes. And have different effects on society. Yeah.
Which crimes have a greater negative effect on society? The weed man on the other side of town that I used to live on, or the Wall Street guy stealing money from retirees? Which one has a great...
The local police are not the ones that are investigating white-collar crimes.
They're investigating. So no, they're not. I don't know who investigates white-collar crimes, but I'm getting to the point of which crimes have a bigger effect on people.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, but what I'm saying is that's nothing that's apples and oranges. The local police are not investigating Wall Street crimes. That's not their jurisdiction. They're investigating crimes in the area. And the guy who's selling weed in a lower income part of town could be financing a gang, which if you could stop the money flowing in the gang, could lead to lower violent crime rates in the community.
It's still getting at the fact that the places where we're putting the resources. Somebody, Ace, let me know multiple times that he's donating to Cop City, which, by the way, they already built Cop City.
He's going to donate anyway. All right.
He's going to donate anyway.
Yes.
Right? What would be a better use of those resources? Since we know how crime is constructed, would it be a better use to add more resources to whoever investigates white-collar crime, which has a much bigger effect on people's lives than the local weed man, and then to use the $90 million that went to Cop City to invest in that community, or to spend $90 million on more police to go to that community and round those people up, exacerbating the problems in that community?
It depends who you want to help, because if you want to help, middle-class white people who may be losing their 401ks or, losing money on bad stock trades, I'd say go after the white-collar crime. If you want to help, lower-income Black people, in neighborhoods where they
But
don't
that
want to
type
be
of
victims
policing
of
doesn't.
crime, I think you'd want more
That
police
type of
in that
policing
area.
does not help lower income Black people, though. We know this. Like that's a long understood result of policing. It doesn't
I
help.
don't believe that's true, but
You think stereotypes affect police or policing?
Do I think stereotypes of Black people affect police? Like, yeah, yes.
Okay, so then it still makes my point that stereotypes are the problem.
No, the problem is the police. The problem is
Well, what's driving the police if it's not the stereotypes?
quotas, like somebody said, like Sitch said earlier. You know, like the fact that the police are funded the way they are and not other things that actually help the community.
Right. Are you afraid of police? Generally,
Yes.
I want more police in my neighborhood.
No, I do not want that.
Clean
I
up
am
the
afraid of-
riffraff, get them out of here.
That doesn't actually help. That doesn't
The police
help.
don't help.
That may make some people feel safer, right? And if
We get like a jaywalker around here and there's like 20 cops, it's like ridiculous.
yeah, that may make some people feel safer. The police don't make me feel safe.
Well, as long as you don't jaywalk, you're cool.
Yeah, but you know, they might perceive me to be jaywalking. They might perceive me to be aggressive. They might perceive me. I've had police show up at my door looking for other people and have my house surrounded.
Do they know about your? You don't say,
This-
hey, you guys
this
look
is
like you
well
have a bunch of
before-
white fragility, do you?
No,
You
no,
don't throw the
I-
white fragility at them when they're.
I didn't think to do that. I was told pretty early on not to get smart with the police. That is very much a white privilege.
No, but so I guess
That
what
is,
it sounds
that is
like
very much not a white privilege. You get smart with the police as a white person, you're going to get the same fucking attitude.
You will most
Yeah,
likely,
so it's not a
still
white
get
privilege.
negativity. Yes,
Yeah.
that was me trying to match the energy.
Right, I get it.
I know the police
So-
are assholes to everyone.
is the argument that like if you had less police in lower income Black areas, those areas would do better socially, financially. Is that the argument?
You would need to. So this is like, I mean, we're going back to like 2020, Black Lives Matter, fucking talking points, and this is tedious.
If you just say yeah, you don't have to say give your.
I mean,
argument. You can just say yes. You think
essentially
it's
yes. Yeah, essentially
Okay,
yes.
okay.
If you added, if you took the resources, police budgets are like billions of dollars, and they don't do anything. They don't really stop crime. They don't reduce crime substantially. They don't reduce crime substantially more than I think what's going on in Baltimore. I don't know the details. Is a perfect example. Like they did a ton of alternative type work in Baltimore, and they've greatly reduced their crime and murder rate since people called them, not y'all, I'm sure y'all didn't do this, but
I personally did it. Yes.
the mayor that was called the DEI mayor because he had a fade. You know, and Google this up and fact check me in real time. I don't know all the details, but I know that's an example, and that's something that's been repeated historically. That when you improve the health and education and economic standing of a community, it has less crime. Period. So if you're spending billions of dollars to police the community and the crime persists, crime I think is lower now than it was in the 90s. And that's mostly because there's so many people in jail, and we have more people in jail than any country in the world. Like you see how this is not feel like an efficient solution to the problem.
So I would agree that yes, putting money and resources into improving the community with education or whatever social
Can I
programs
pause for a second just so I'm clear?
Yes.
So you all don't believe structural systemic racism are real?
I believe it's real. I believe the Ben Shapiro definition is real, which is that there were institutions that were created intentionally to be racist that in the past, and that the echoes of that have continued forward into the future. So I think I kind of agree that it exists. I just don't agree it exists or the way that you think.
Even if I were to take that and say that's good enough for me, right? What is our debate here if I'm trying to explain to you that structural racism is the real problem? Let's say it's Ben Shapiro's definition.
Our debate is that, okay, for example, I would say that the way that I think of structural racism, or one way I think of it, is that there's this very wicked problem, which is that, because black people were discriminated against, and their slavery and all this other stuff, it would obviously make, and this would be true of anyone, it'd obviously make people very angry at society for treating them that way, and would make them not necessarily want to participate in that society or assimilate into that society because of the past treatment, which makes perfect sense. The problem with, and that's not really their fault, but the problem with that is then if you're not going to participate in society, if you're not going to assimilate into the majority culture, then you will always be at a disadvantage. Always. And so that's an effect of structural racism that I think that exists right now. And so when you say, well, what's the problem here? I feel like it's the way that you and other people on the left talk about this is you're basically continuing to handicap people from actually being able to make their own lives better.
So I don't want to go too far into the structural racism debate, because again, it's like 2020 core. Let's just roll with Ben Shapiro's version, because you said something earlier that blew my mind, because you were describing, rage, like the rage that Black people feel, and you were kind of doing it candidly. I don't know if this was like just some really like 4D chess, because what you just described is what it feels like to be disadvantaged. And yeah, so actually, no, let me get off that tangent. If we were to take Ben Shapiro's definition of structural racism, that the echoes of past racist structures, like something like redlining, right? Or Robert Moses's destruction of Black communities through highway and urban planning. If we were to recognize that those things were there and that the effects of those things are still in place, again, why would it not be important for us to establish that as the baseline way we engage with race and identity in this country, especially as we're talking about the mythical anti-white racism? Because there is no historical corollary there.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
So I understand the question. So I would say, because it comes back to what I said earlier in the conversation, which is I think it's actually impossible for you or me or anyone to get America or white people as a broader population on board with not being racist, with not judging people by their skin color, if we're going to say, well, people get to be racist against you. I just don't think that's a feasible project whatsoever. And I think the rise of the Groypers and the ethno-nationalists shows that to be entirely true.
So I will concede that the people that make it like their brand to make up, new racial epithets for white people as a joke, and the way that online discourse and mixed company tends to become very heavy-handed for white people who transgress from a racial standpoint is not very useful. It's entertaining from that standpoint, but it's not actually like real work. That is part of my critique of the left of weaponizing identity politics for clout. Because I could come up here, like right now, I could say all kinds of knuckle dragging Neanderthal cracker stuff like for the next 20 minutes, and there would be no consequence for me, and it would become a meme at most. I could be Umar Johnson, you know what I'm saying, who people mistake for being like a big deal when he's mostly a meme, right? Versus until Destiny platformed him, there was a point in time where Nick Fuentes was basically gone from the public sphere.
All right, it's 4 a.m. I gotta go. I gotta be up in a couple hours for work. Thank you, Edge. Thank you, Bird. Thank you, Salty. Thank you, Tiger. Thank you, Grand. Thank you, Conrad. I appreciate it. I'm gonna send you over a tuna chip. Nobody else is on right now, so I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Peace.